Hopefully this is working.
No, God! No, God, please, no! No! No!
Yes!
No!
Yes! Having fun there.
Always.
Alright, let me see. We're good there. My audio's working. You already tested the desktop audio for me. Thank you.
Of course.
And... okay. Let me turn off the shopping mall. Here we go. And then I will switch us to the wrong one. Why is this? Okay, what did I do here? How do I have this screen up? What did I do?
Apparently I got logged out of Twitch, so I gotta re-log in.
Oh.
Well, then.
That's alright. I was like, where's my Roll20 screen? The screen? Or I was like, because I got this whole other thing going on, and I'm like, I don't remember doing this. But it's really cool looking, so I'm like, okay. So there.
Yeah, I need my token dealt with, by the way.
No. You don't get a token. Where?
It's in the galley. It doesn't have dynamic lighting.
Oh. Wait. It doesn't have it on there?
Alright, I'll move it outside the chair. I know it's there because I have an outline box, but I can't do it. Crap.
Hang on.
Yeah, there we are.
I just enabled stream watches me do it. Watch me do it. Because I can hit even Control L and I'll see it from your perspective now.
There we go. Now I'm logged in.
Actually, you wait for the rest of you can see the ship and everything. It's just you see it highlighted, right? When you're moving your tokens.
Give me a minute here. I'll actually get back over to that tab.
And I need to
yeah, I only see like the lighting for the area that I'm in, and then like down the hall, like where my
where your vision
line of sight would be.
Okay, yeah. And then
Remember, I got Scamper. He's sitting on the table. That's why I've got that view over there.
oh, I was like, what the heck? That's all right. No, he's part of you, so that's fine. Okay, cool. And then you guys have Aegis, Carbine, the triplets. Oh, I forgot. Wait. I'm not going to worry about Ben. He's just going to sit there. His icon's there. I don't care. Forgot. He's been with the triplets ever since he got transformed into something else, so throws me off. I forgot there's the other bots that we have, and there's that one that tags along with them. So, anybody's catching this? Sorry we haven't been around for a bit. If you see this and you've been delayed for a bit, or you're just catching up, then you don't really care. Don't need to worry about it. If you want to catch up past episodes of our hijinks, there's the channel for YouTube. There's a link down below, and you can find links for all these guys who are streaming in the Twitch as well as YouTube. YouTube doesn't pay me, so I don't really care. Twitch does. Really, they don't pay me either because I don't make enough to do anything. No, all that money's just used in this. Yay! So if you want to catch past episodes, there you go. Yay! Now onto the session.
Yay.
We're gonna jump into this kind of quick, so because I'm like, let's go. Well, more like I'm here. Let's try this. Play by play. Yay! Okay. All right. So we laughed. Oh wow. Okay. We left.
Slow down.
No, it's hyperactivity kicking in. I need. This is dumb. Hang on. You are behind me. There we are. We last left our illustrious bots in a cave, along with other beast bots, while somebody is learning to train. Overload is with... What was the name you gave her, Mercer? Was it
Callie, I think.
Was it Callie or Aria or something like that? I think it was Aria or something like that. Because I wrote it down and I don't have that notebook in front of me. I don't know where I put it.
I'm pretty sure I wrote it down.
I think it was Aria. Because the other one...
Ari.
Her? Or whatever.
Ari.
Okay, we'll go with your name. Her. Because I can't say their beast names again because that's going to hurt my throat. As is, you are going currently resting with her in her hut, and you're sitting there chilling pretty easily right now. Nothing's happening. You're getting a good rest and doing a little bit of recharging. Void Striker, you were in the medical tent still, and you've healed up those 3 bots during this time. The little rodent bots that are around you, you can hear them chittering and doing stuff and kind of tending to them, making sure that those 3 bots that you healed are doing okay. And you do notice as they're sitting up and moving around a little bit, they're different creatures of sort, at least that you can see of parts of their form because they're in their bot forms right now. You're sitting there with them and healing, and you've done this great job, and these little rodents are fascinated with you though, and they're just kind of like they're looking you up and down, their heads are tipping, and they kind of turn to each other and discuss something, and then they turn back and look at you, and they're kind of pointing at different parts of you. While they're doing that and you're sitting there with them in that hut, the medical hut is what it is, Gilgamesh, you were last walking through the village after talking with Czar. And you have this book that he has of this visitor that they have coming and going. And it shows that on here, it's been a longer period of time that this guest of theirs that keeps coming and going. The white one is she's referred to as sometimes, or it's just a white shadow, a blur.
Well, I have in my notes from last session that they gave her the name of Ziara.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so that's their name for her. Kind of like a protector is in translation of what Czar could give you. Or at least a silent protector of some sort. Because she's not always around, but she's somewhere. And it seems like she pops up when they kind of need her at times. But you have in this the many moons that have passed. And one of those is coming up soon. Can you, as Gilgamesh, give me a perception check real quick?
Yes, just
I need to add it to your current perception, even though you're not getting surprised or anything, so. You just kind of get this feeling you're being watched. You know the rest of the village, you see beast bots kind of walking around. Now, it's quieter at this time. It's kind of nighttime. You can't really tell, but there's openings in the top of the cave that you can kind of see a little light, and you can tell it's kind of dark. So there's certain bots that are, you guys, at least you, Gilgamesh, you're going to see them wandering about that. You notice they don't have torches or anything. They're just, they're walking around, but when you see them look in your direction or kind of walk by you and nod at you or something, you notice their eyes give a little shine back at you with your night vision. And their torches and other things lit, but they're not super bright. But you notice they're probably more of a nocturnal type of creature form that they've taken on. You'll see them kind of moving about here and there. Some are a little bit smaller. You've seen the big ones, all of you have. But these guys are a little smaller. They just kind of come and go. You see them doing tasks, like they're going and retrieving more materials to do projects that they're doing. But it's pretty quiet. You just hear kind of like some fires burning, which is unusual because usually they don't have fires. But they're in huts, and you see some illumination. Not really bright. You see their graveyard. It's not real big, but you see there's a number of plots. And it's kind of just in this alcoved area that's off the side of the village, a little further off to one side, where you saw them take the one body. It just popped something I didn't want to, sorry.
So from what I'm gathering, there's really only one way in and out of this cave.
That you can see right now, yes. There are a lot of huts around, so you're not visibly able to see all around certain spots. So there may be other openings.
Okay.
But you guys know of the primary one where Czar brought you through.
Yeah, the main entrance.
Yeah.
But like he's looking around because just out of curiosity, like there has to be a back way in.
And with a little more looking around, you probably will find some other entrances or exits or something else. Just depends on where you go. Right now, you're kind of... what part of the village would you say you're in? You're kind of wandering around from Czar.
Well, he would have
Czar's
left. He would have left Czar's hut. So, I mean, wherever that is, I'm assuming that's kind of like the more central
exactly.
part
I
of
was
the.
I was gonna say his hut is kind of a little bit central. It's more of a when you entered it, you see that you know he's a leader, but he's more humble about his position. You see that a lot of the huts are very similar. They're not one above the other. They're working together as a big pack, a group. And they're trying to keep each other safe. Because you can see, you guys have seen the big ones are doing work with the little ones, and there's an equal part there that they're doing. Ew.
So it's kind of a big exploration part. Like he's looking
Yep.
around the back walls, trying to see if there are any like emergency exits. But he's also observing the village and just kind of like he's testing to see, or not really testing, but he's looking around to see like, are they well off? Are they in need of anything like supply wise? Just visually, not even like really asking them because he's just silently observing them, but just trying to visually see if they're in need of anything.
As you're looking around, you do see that they seem okay, but it seems like they're
Like-
not well off.
So-
They're just okay.
Let me kind of rephrase it
Ouch.
then. So, as I look about the village, do any of them seem impoverished?
No,
Okay.
they're all
So-
in a sense, like I said, equal. They take care of each other. They're watching out for each other. You notice that with all the huts and everything, some do look a little more lavish, but it's just coloring and the looks. That's really it.
Okay.
As you're standing
So
there,
then I guess the other question is along the back walls, if he sees anything that could lead to like another back cave or another exit.
as you're doing this and you're kind of walking around, you see the jutting of the rocks. Your night vision, you get some easement with torches nearby, but you notice that some of the walls, you can kind of see the flames from some of the torches, kind of like it's almost like you feel it like a breeze. You can see something's tugging at a couple of the torches. But as you're doing this, you suddenly hear, "Oh, there you are. I was kind of looking for you." And it's Carbine. She comes kind of running up and comes to a trot and kind of stops and it's like, and you see her stop and take her back leg and start scratching. And you see one of her tentacles come out and do the same thing, start scratching at her. And she goes, that was fun playing with them. Didn't understand a thing they said though. What are you doing? And she kind of just sits there and flops her head to the side, her big little eyes just looking at you and blinking.
I had a discussion with Czar, the village leader. He gestures to the book in his hand. And just been walking about the village,
She
learning what I can.
She stands up on all four. Ooh. And she kind of runs up your leg and jumps onto your shoulder. And she goes, ooh, what are we looking at? And you see her you feel her kind of get comfy around your neck. And she goes, what's that? And you see one of the tentacles point down. And she's kind of gesturing like, what's that? And she's pointing toward a word. And it's the name that's written in it. And she's like,
like on the cover or like what?
It's like she goes, she doesn't understand what she's looking at really, because she's like, I don't know this stuff. This is weird. This is
Well, I
new
haven't
to them.
opened the book for her.
Yeah.
Like it's a
Yeah.
closed book in his hand.
Oh, okay. I thought you had it open still. That's right.
No, like
But,
because he's been walking around with it closed, like in his hand, just kind of like walking around with it.
But okay, we'll make this even more fun. She kind of paws at it with the tentacle, and she's like, feels weird. What is this made out of? She's just curious.
Not exactly sure. It's sort of a leathery material.
Think it's a hide?
But possibly.
And she kind of points, there's something similar, and she kind of points with her tentacles over in a direction. When I was playing with that one, there's something like that kind of strung up over there. There's like stretched out, and it kind of looks weird, but yeah, it kind of looks maybe like that. And she's kind of puzzled. He goes, I don't know. But yeah, this is new. It was fun playing with them. And then they kind of made a weird sound and they looked tired, and I guess they needed to go recharge or something. Then I can't find you.
Well, did you learn anything while you were spending time with them?
Well, and she kind of tips her head. I know that they're pretty friendly when you're in beast form, because I did transform into bot form and they kind of jumped back. And they kept sniffing me funny, so I transformed back and then they kind of eased up again. But they're really nice. I mean, they kind of gave me some.
This is kind of like a. Sorry to interrupt. This is kind of like a walk and talk. He's actually going to start making his way back around to the mouth of the cave, like to the entrance.
Yeah, she's not even watching. She's kind of like, she's got her head up like she's thinking, like, what did I see? And she's not even paying attention to the thing. You're walking and talking, and she's like, and you see her tentacles kind of moving around, and she goes, and then, I mean, they had these strange, they had food. They let me try some, and I mean, it was really good. And I kind of feel pretty good. And you notice she's kind of a little more up. And she seems a little more energetic when you guys have been moving for quite some time. And usually by this point, you guys are kind of resting at some point. And she's just kind of like really up. And she goes, it was pretty good though. I mean, I saw that leathery kind of, what do you call it? Hide? Yeah, that stuff, that stuff. And then they kind of avoided the burial area except for to show respect. They would go over and kneel and kind of bow in that direction when they passed at times. But it was only specific bots, and I think it meant for somebody they were close to. I'm not sure. It was interesting because usually the body is, either repurposed or in this case, they just kind of buried it. But we usually paid homage to ours by giving them a new life in a sense, or at least spark in our words. Theirs seems life. It's weird. But
theirs is a culture not unlike ours. They just believe that when they die, their spark goes back to Primus.
Well,
It's
that's
not.
the thing. Hey, somewhere around here there was an opening, I think. Maybe it was back the other way. But that one showed me pictures on the wall. Uh, I don't remember. Oh man, I was playing too much. I should have paid attention. I'm sorry. Uh, I
It's
really need to
fine.
get my head together.
You really haven't had much of a chance to really just kind of relax and be yourself for a while, so it was good for you.
Mm,
But
yeah, but I still need to pay attention. We're still on tasks and everything, and yeah. But yeah, uh, there was some. It was interesting pictures. There was. I could have swore I recognized the one, but I'm not sure if it is. It's been a long time since I've seen a lot of those. So, but if we can find the opening, I think maybe it's was over by the burial area. I don't. We'll just we can just walk around. They don't seem to mind too much. They do look at you often when you're walking around, though. I did notice that.
well, we are strangers in their village. They're
Well,
obviously gonna take notice.
well, they really like to look at the bright one who's kind of perched on the top of the highest point in the cave here. And she kind of gestures with her tentacle to point toward Aegis, who's been perched on a
Well,
stalite.
Aegis can't exactly turn his glow off.
And she goes, yeah, he's kind of a beacon, but he hasn't said much since he's been here. He's been kind of just perched up there, and I tried to kind of communicate with him, but he's kind of just watching. And you see
Well,
Aegis's head moving every once in a while, and his eyes. You know he's looking and watching something like everything around him.
between what Overload's going through and everything that's gone on between the both of them, I mean, he's probably got a lot that he would like to talk about, but really is struggling to communicate that.
Eh, well, from what I remember back on our home planet when before everything, he would he was always kind of when he was guarding, and I think that's what he's doing. He's being a guard. He usually would sit and not say much. He would do what he's doing, just a little different because he's now this. But anyway, yeah,
It might just be more natural for him to be in that position, but I mean, if unless he needs our help, I mean, we're always around to help him.
yeah, that's right. We're a group here. We can work this out. And you suddenly see her kind of stutter and stop talking. You smell it, and she's sniffing the air. And she kind of hops down off your shoulders, and she goes, and you see her kind of walk forward, and she kind of sniffs the air and then sniffs down toward the ground. She goes, I think we're close to it.
To
And,
what?
and you kind of see her walk forward, and then she turns. Oh, here it is. And she kind of, it almost looks like she disappears, like walks right through something, and she just vanishes. And you can hear her somewhat. She goes through here, and she kind of, you see one of her tentacles wave you in this way.
He's just tilted head, just curious. He will extend his hand out and try to like put his hand through.
As you reach forward, you notice as you kind of move forward and around to it, it kind of blends in with the rest of the wall and the shadowing. But there's an opening there. You reach in, your night vision starts highlighting a passageway. Like you can see in there, and it just looks darkness at first until you start to move around in a particular way, and then suddenly you see an open passage, and you can see Carbine kind of ahead of you, like, yeah, it's down this way. And it's kind of like a pathway. It's not real big, but it's big enough that you can fit through, just right through. And Carbine kind of trots forward, and you can kind of see a bit of a glow ahead of you guys. You just kind of see this greenish gray kind of looking glow. And you see Carbine kind of stop before it. She goes, yeah, it's right over here. It is. And she kind of moves over to one side, and she kind of sits, and she kind of goes, yeah, these up here. And she kind of waves at you with her tentacles, like, yeah, over here.
Gilgamesh will step through and he'll proceed and look to where Carbine's pointing.
And without perception, because your perception's pretty high as passive as it is, you feel the breeze kind of go around you lightly as it goes through the passage. So you know there's probably an opening somewhere on the other side. But as you get closer to this, she goes, yeah, it's better without night vision because you can see more of the color. And she kind of starts pointing, and she goes, but look at the pictures in here. And the way they were depicting, these are very old. Although not understanding them, but from what my readings come up with, this stuff's been here for millennias. Just pretty
I'm
much.
taking as many mental images of these cave paintings as I can.
And she goes, yeah, it's this one. And you see this creature or something that has, at least you can see it has more than 2 legs, maybe 4. It's kind of crudely drawn, but you can kind of make out what it is. She goes, it's holding a bright staff or something, and you can see her kind of there. And if you look, it's all the pictures are kind of like they're bowing to this one. I'm not sure what it means other than, is it a god or maybe a bigger bot here? And she's kind of looking sideways at you like, this isn't good if it is, or is it? And she goes, I kind of recognize this one, but I'm not sure who it is. I think
Do I know anything based on looking at these cave paintings? Or can I decipher anything?
Can you roll me a... Why is the screen coming up? Go away. Sorry. Yeah, let me see. What would I put you under for this one? I'm like, I want you to do kind of history, but it's
Either history or investigation. I mean, they'd be the same for me in terms of.
Yeah, roll either which one you feel comfortable with. I'll go with either one.
I'd rarely roll this, so let's go with the history. And I know jack shit.
Well, looking at the pictures, there's not a lot of writing like glyphs or anything. It's mostly pictures because what Carbine told you, it's very old. And it's mostly
He's just gonna take pictures then and just
you
leave it for someone smarter than him.
Yeah, well, it's more of like, yeah, I can't really tell what that is, but it looks familiar. And
all we can do really is document this at this point.
Yeah, so you guys are doing okay. You got the documentation, and Carbine goes, yeah, we were here for a while, so I took a lot of readings. And she kind of tips her head again. I know where this comes from. I should know this. And she goes, but yeah, there's this passage goes somewhat far, but I don't know where. We didn't go that far. We kind of got here, maybe a little further, and then we turned around. And you could see little glowing spots here and there as you see down this path. And it's all covered around in rock and that, but you see moss and some vines here and there. But the glowing is coming from some kind of like, almost like mushrooms that are radiating something. And they're not all mushrooms. There's some kind of plants that look like flowers. And you see Carbine turn around and she goes, oh, here, try one of these. And she holds it up with her tentacle. She just plucks a small little pinkish flower. She goes, try one.
He'll just lightly like pick it up. What does it look like?
It kind of is just a small pinkish flower, and it's got little orange, little like inside of it, the inside of the plant. You can see a little bit of orange, and Carbine's like, they showed me you can eat this. I watched them. I think this is how they get their energy, though, too. Some of it. And she goes, it actually has a sweet taste to it, which is weird. Sweet. But it's good.
He'll just kind of like bring it to his face and just like give it a light little sniff, just
You smell this.
kind of testing it.
Yeah, you smell this sweetness come off of it, but you see it kind of pulse when you smell it. And with the aroma, you kind of feel a little relaxed a little with it. But at the same time, you start to notice, whoa, I kind of feel a little energy. And she goes, yeah, if you do sniff it, it kind of affects you too. But it's a good effect. I checked it out myself before I did it too, but it's
It's
interesting.
not a weird like
No.
chemical reaction, is it?
Nope. It's what the plant does. It's something natural. It's a bioluminescent plant that's down in these caves that these creatures have found.
He'll just kind of pluck one of the petals just to give it a little taste. He's not really. He's not exactly sure if he should be like really eating it, but he's just like he's gonna taste it and just get a sample of it.
As you do, what was the role I was going to have you guys do for something like this? If any of you,
This
tried
would be more of a medicine check because I'm
Yeah.
checking to see if it's like
Go
if
ahead.
there's some kind of a poison to it.
Yeah, go ahead and do like a medicine check on it. Let's see
Okay.
what you do for that. I want to see.
11.
You got Carbine there, who's already done this, so she's standing there with you, and she kind of goes,
All right.
You start to notice, you feel a little that, you know how she was acting for this whole time, little peppier, little, and you feel good, as in like you're happy, but at the same time you're relaxed, but you're able to feel a little energy boost through your system, just even with the little pedal you had. And she goes, you feel it? It kind of charges you up. And I've run all the analysis on it that I could with what I had with me, but this is how I think they've lived on this planet. It's like a symbiotic thing, and you see her tentacles doing this balancing thing, and she's like, and you see it go down to her chin, and she's like, it's really fascinating how this works. We're biological in some form now. And she kind of gestures with her tentacles to herself and you, and she goes, so our bodies are able to, well, process it, and it feels natural for us. I don't know what it would do for a regular Cybertronian who has no bio in them.
Are there any seeds in this flower?
You can see some kind of pollination in there, and it looks like, and Carbine kind of chimes in with this. She goes, there is a seed pod, and she kind of goes, it's down here at the base of the plant. She only gave you the stem and the flower part of it. She goes, here's a seed pod down here. It's not very big. And she goes, and this mushroom up here, you can eat it, but let's just say the side effects of it might not be as what you want. Unless you want to be out like a light.
I'm not really interested in testing.
It's not a poison,
Uh,
but I wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah, I'm not looking to test my fortitude.
Yeah.
Let's just grab some samples of these flowers and get some of the seed pods.
You see
and
her
let's
kind of
take some with.
you see her kind of sit back, and she goes, already done, and her chest on her caracal form kind of pops open, and you see little tubes of seeds and other stuff. And she goes, yeah, I'm kind of full up on this stuff right now, so I can't get too much more. And she closes it up, and she goes, but I got them.
You might want to be careful with how much of that you're consuming.
Oh, I haven't ate any more since then. I've taken this as all the samples. They're all in tubes. See? And she opens it back up and she pulls one out, and the tentacle kind of shakes a lightly. She goes, see? And She goes, this one, and she kind of points with the other tentacle, don't eat. Just puts it back in her chest in the little tube, and she closes back up, and she goes, yeah, don't eat that one. That one's going to be for other purposes. And she kind of winks at you.
I'm almost afraid to ask, but I won't.
Don't worry, it'll be a surprise. And she kind of runs back up to your shoulder. But I really haven't been down any further this tunnel, like pathway. They said it leads out somewhere, but I don't think I understood what that meant when they kind of gestured, like go long way kind of thing. Like,
Well, we
really
can feel
confused.
the breeze coming from the other end, so we know the pathway is open. I don't need any more convincing.
Okay.
I look at a cave like this, and I wouldn't necessarily feel safe knowing that there's only one way in and one way out. This at least gives me a little peace of mind.
And you hear Carbine in your head instead of talking out loud. Not gonna say this out loud, but I think they gestured that there's at least 2 other paths out, but they didn't tell me where. They just kind of drew on the ground, and then they erased it real quick, and I didn't get it fast enough.
Gilgamesh is going to turn and start walking back with Carbon on the shoulder, and he's just going to respond in kind and telepathy. And that's fine. We don't need to know every pathway out so long as they actually do have an actual plan.
Okay.
I'm just checking this as a matter of security and perspective.
As you guys start to step out of the, in a sense, hidden passageway, it's not really hidden. It's just, it blends so well. Nobody really notices it. You see Aegis is just staring at you guys, like, and his head's kind of cocked, like, and
he'll just wave, just kind of big wave to Aegis.
You see his all his feathers kind of ruffle up a little bit, like, and he kind of nods toward you lightly, and then he just kind of, like, you see his eyes slowly close, and she goes, I think he's kind of resting now, finally. And he kind of settles.
I think we've learned all we can from the village tonight anyway. We should probably go recharge ourselves.
All right, so you guys are going to go recharge for a little bit, and we're going to hop over to Void Striker for a little bit now. Void Striker, Baja, you awake over there?
Yes.
Okay, I want to make sure you're okay to be woken up. Void Striker, you were still in the medical tent with these other bots. You see the little rodent ones. They're still kind of chittering and looking at you, but you see them turn around to a couple of the bots. One of them stands up. He looks, like he's been put through the ringer, but he's able to move. He's able to do certain things. And these two are kind of looking you up and down, and because you're way bigger than they are. And you notice one of them, it looks like it's kind of armor plated, but it's not very big. We're not talking the size of the rodent ones. We're talking, it's probably double or triple their size, which they're only like a couple feet to you. And they're staring at you as this one kind of slowly stands up, and you see the 3 rodent ones turn to it, and it looks down at them. They chitter at him and make some sounds, and you hear this unusual sound come out. And he looks at you, and he puts his hand in a fist and thumps it to his chest, and he bows to you. And he says something, and he turns and he starts to walk out the door. And as he does, he transforms. He's not a big animal form, but you see it's like armor plated, kind of rounded. You'd swear it looks like an armadillo in human form, in the form of
Nice.
and it walks out through the flap and kind of under, and you hear it walk away. The other one kind of slowly stands up, and it's a little furrier, and it kind of stands up, and it kind of wobbles a little bit, and you see the three rodents kind of run over and like, easy, like they're trying to, but you hear them chittering in that, and it waves its hands like, and she kind of bends down to the three of them, kind of pets each one of them, and she kind of looks over, and they're chittering to her, and she's just looking at you, and she kind of turns her head, and you see these little, like almost like furry ears kind of move a little bit, and she stands up, and she slowly walks toward you, and she does the same thing, fist to chest, and she bows to you, and you see her walk toward the door, and she kind of looks back at you, and then kind of looks down at the floor and transform, and you see her kind of not walk but kind of limp a little bit, but you see this furry long tail with rings on it, and you see her turn her head, and these big eyes and rings around her eyes, and it's kind of a whitish brown look to
Do they
her.
like to move it?
And she kind of just walks out the door on all fours, but you see her kind of slink under it, like almost looks like a cat, but she's not. It's a lemur.
That's what I said. Does she like to move it?
Yeah. So she's, and you see her disappear out through the door. The three rodents tend to the last one, and they're like, you can see this last bot kind of just looks haggard and tired, and you can see one of the rodents just pat on the head like, you rest now. That's all you can kind of get the idea, and you see its optics, which they look like eyes, just close and like, okay, and rest, and you see it relax, and you see the two still, they come over to you, and they're still looking at you, and they're gesturing to parts of you, and they're chittering amongst themselves, and one of them takes a stick, the third one that walks over and starts drawing something in the dirt on the floor in front of you with the other two there. And they're sitting there, and you see them all of a sudden, they're all three like thinking, and you hear them chittering, looking at this thing going, and they look at you and point, and it's like you're not there, you're just this spectacle they're looking at, and they're gesturing, and they kind of make a picture of something, and they're like, they look back at you, and then they look back down at it, and you see the one kind of like, I don't think so, and they're just kind of like, they're sitting here trying to contemplate what you are or what you could be, because you don't have any beast like forms to you. So they're sitting there making different pictures of different animals, and like, and you see one of them like, wait, I got an idea, look, and starts drawing out a picture of a vehicle of some sort. And it looks up at you and kind of, and erases the picture. Never mind. And one of the other ones kind of grabs the stick and starts scratching into the ground really fast. And you're, and they're like, all of a sudden you see the other two taking their paws, which are their hands, and they start etching out a picture. And it's a skeleton of some kind of creature. And then they suddenly step back, and they look at the picture, and they look at you. And then they all kind of huddle toward each other, and they're kind of looking at you as they're whispering. And you just, all you hear is chittering from them. And they just stop, and they look. And they kind of sit up, and it's like, and one of them goes like pointing toward the other ones, and then they point out the door, and then they point back at you, and they go, there, you can see them like gesturing, and they're trying to, like, you see one of them pointing at you like, hey, you it just keeps,
I'll look at them.
and you see it go to the door, and just as it gets close to the door, it transforms, and you see its head like nodding, like this way, this way. And the other two kind of scurry over and they do the same thing. And it's like you got these three rodent-like creatures that look, you swear they look like mice, but they look like hamsters.
Let's go. I hereby dub one of them Hamtaro.
Hamster.
So you see these fuzzy, and there's one of them's brown and white. The other one's kind of brownish with a little white. And the one that seems like the leader is kind of a lighter color, like a yellowish, maybe not white, but yellowish brown. It's not really dark
A
brown.
nice sandy brown.
That's it. Thank you. Yes, sandy brown. So they sit there and they kind of nod and they kind of go under the flap of the door. Do you follow?
I will get up and follow, yeah.
As you step out, you see it's kind of darker in the village, but you still see
I'm also going to
torches.
make sure I'm not going to step on anything, considering the size difference.
Yeah. They're away from the doorway, and you see them three sitting out there, but the middle one, that sandy colored one, is sitting up a little bit, and it's like you see its little paws like, follow us, look. And you hear the chittering, and you see them scurry off. And they're kind of going not toward the burial site, but they're kind of going past it. And you see them, and you see one of them stop, like, come.
I will follow the hamster dance. Let's go.
You follow them. You go past huts. You see these creatures. They are staring at you, but you see eye shine from your night vision as well. And you see a lot of what creatures that could be probably just nighttime, because you guys didn't see a lot of these. Again, you're seeing them. And they're doing tasks. You see them carrying things. And one of them stops at this. It kind of looks like a bulldog. And it looks up at you and looks down at them. And you hear them chittering away. And you could see his eyes roll like, oh, great. And you hear him grumbly. And you hear them chittering. And you see one of them gesturing in a direction. You don't know what they're pointing at because they're just pointing over in the direction. And you see this bulldog-like thing kind of side-eyeing you like, ugh. And the three of them climb up on him, and he looks at you, like, follow me. And you see the three of them on his back turning around like, come.
All right, following.
As you approach near one of the walls, you see a larger opening. Not like the one that we described for Gilgamesh. This one's further over. And you walk past the burial site. You've seen the burials there. But this is just past and over. And you can kind of see it gets a little dark for a moment, but there's some lighting going on. You walk in. You guys walk for quite a while. But you're still in a cave. There is no light coming in from above. You're just getting bioluminescence here and there. And you can see the kind of the eye shine from all of the three in front. And you could see them waving, come. And you just hear the bulldog like looking thing. And they all turn around and kind of like. And
He is 100% being blackmailed.
Yeah, it's like, and you just hear, just really grumbly. And you kind of you see a opening ahead of you guys. And you see this larger opening, and it kind of broadens out into a large cavern. As you approach, you start to see a few bones here and there of some kind of creatures. Now, these are not biomechanical. These are actual biologicals that have died somehow. Some of them are larger, some of them are smaller. And as you guys approach, you see the bulldog stopping, you see the rodents on his back, like up here. And you see with your night vision this massive skeleton. And I mean, you're just as big as it is, but to them it's big. And you see it sitting there, and it's kind of in the stone, so it's kind of blended in with it. But parts of it are sitting out, and you can see what looks like are parts of wings and a few other things that this thing doesn't look normal. And you hear them chittering, and you see the 3 rodents have jumped off the bulldog's back, and you hear him grumble. "Rrr." And they're like, you see the one turn around, and it's he just kind of, you see his head roll back and look at you. "Rrr." And you see him walk past you back down the passage, like whatever. And you see the rodents like gesturing to come closer to the skeletal fossil that's sitting in the wall. That's also jutting out.
I'll do so.
And you can see one of them has some kind of piece of material, and it looks like something to write with. And you see them like, and like one of them's drawing an arrow toward this thing, and then draws an arrow toward you, gesturing. And it's like, and they're like back and forth. You look like this thing.
Can I scan the skeleton?
I will allow this. Yes. As you scan, do they visibly see your scan?
There would be, yes.
They kind of jump out of the way and jump back, kind of frightened for a moment, and then you see the sandy one kind of move up and then wave the other 2 up. Oh, wait, he's just doing something. And you scan this. It's going to take you just a moment. And your scan's picking up all this detail of this large creature. And you realize it's some kind of winged, big, it probably was some kind of lizard thing at one time, with wings though. And it's very
I'd like
old.
to create a 3D reconstruction hologram in front of me.
As you start to slice and dice to bring this to life with your scan, you start to notice that it's very claw-like, very big, but it had wings, and it flew. And it had a very massive bite on it. And it was probably an apex predator at one time. Purely biological, though, in this one. As you are sitting there, you notice that the 3 little rodents have kind of moved away, and they're kind of over in like a jutted out like section, and it looks like something is sitting there. This massive thing buried under some rocks. And you see them kind of chittering over near it. And you can see them kind of watching it at the same time. They're just kind of looking back like, oh, is he done yet? And you see them kind of dart in and out of some openings on this thing. But it's mostly buried, whatever it is. It's hidden under there.
I'd like to investigate whatever it is.
All right, there's some pretty large boulders, and you see the rodents kind of pop out, and it's like you see them chittering at you for a moment, and one of them's gesturing like big, and you're not sure if they're gesturing what the item is or if it's the rock, because there's bunches of boulders all piled around whatever this is, and you can't really just kind of distinctly figure out what it is.
Can I start clearing away some of these rocks and boulders?
Yes. Give me a strength check on this. You have a little trouble moving some of these because they're pretty big. And you see one of the...
Do I?
I knew it, damn it.
You should have known what he was gonna do next.
I was wondering if he's going to remember to do it. Suddenly you got this burst and you're able to start moving these boulders out of the way. There's a lot of them, so it's going to take you some time. And you see the sandy one kind of pop up on one of the boulders you're starting to pick up.
I clicked the wrong thing. It was meant to be. My mouse moved up. It was meant to be that.
I knew what it was already, even though you... Oh,
Yeah,
it's all
my,
right, Noctis.
my mouse flicked up when I went to go click it.
Oh, let me take care of the dog real quick. What are you
Yeah.
barking at? Is she home?
Bark, bark, woof.
There's nobody there. What are you doing?
Squirrel.
Come here. Go lay down. You thought Mom was home. Yeah.
Oh, squirrel.
Yep. Go lay down. She's not there. It's okay. She's not there. Go lay down. So you see this little sandy colored one pop up on the boulder you're starting to pick up, though. And it's kind of gesturing like you have no idea what it's saying, but you're picking up on kind of the idea of, do you want help? Is all you can kind of figure it's trying to say.
I won't say no to help.
And it nods, and you see it turn around and chitter to the other two, and you see the other two run off. This thing runs up your shoulder, up your arm and onto your shoulder, and you can hear it right next to your audio receptor. Just chitter, chitter here, chitter in there. And you start to move more boulders. Suddenly you hear a couple of thuds behind you moving. And it's two sets of these sounds coming at you. And you start to see what looks like it would be resembling a rhino, but it's got more points on its nose. And you see almost looks like a triceratops too, but the frill is a little different. So as you start to see this, you see it walk forward. You see the other creature kind of looks like a very large mammal of some sort. It's not a cow. It looks like a bison of some sort, but it's got a few things that are a little different, like an extra set of legs, and the nose is kind of not elongated, but looks like it's meant to sniff out certain things. And you see these two things walk up, and you see one on each, the little hamster-like creatures, chittering, and they kind of look up at each of theirs and like just roll their eyes again. And they transform into their bot forms. These guys are just about as big as you. Not as tall, but they're close. And they walk forward and they look at you from each side and they start grabbing two boulders at a time, moving them without any trouble and just setting them off to the side like they're nothing, helping you move all these boulders. So this is going to take a few moments. We're going to hop over to Overload for a moment. Who's sleeping, and he's kind of how do I describe this? You're kind of in a slumber that's really calm, really nice, but you're kind of interrupted in your dream by hearing like this thumping. It sounds like big footsteps. As the darkness kind of lifts around you, you're in your dino form, but you're you in control, and you hear this thumping, and you're kind of in a jungle-ish like area. You hear off in the distance, and you can kind of see thunder, lightning, but you really don't hear it. You just see it, You can kind of feel wind blowing by you. You hear this thumping getting closer and closer. You start to see some of the trees kind of parting and moving as you hear this coming closer. You can kind of get glimpses of something red moving. It looks like it's lit up, whatever this object is. You're still standing there in your dino form. And as this thing steps out, you're looking at yourself. But you don't look the same in your eyes. You see these red optic eyes staring at you in this dino form as well. The coloring is a little more red, a little darker. And you just hear the like it's breathing out its nose. And it walks kind of around you a little bit. And you can just feel the thumping as it moves. As this thing stares at you as it moves around you. Like it's sniffing you. Because you hear this every once in a while from its nose. Like it's got this distasteful smell in its nostrils.
I've seen you before.
You see its head kind of cock and do that again.
So now world.
And it keeps moving around you. It stops, and it's directly in front of you. You smell of weakness.
Not weakness, a potential to grow.
Withholding who you are. You stink.
And you're rotten.
I am what I am.
And so am I.
Maybe take a bite out of your new friend. I don't think it would be a bad thing. Give you a taste of what you can be.
Do that and I'll rip you to pieces.
Oh, it wouldn't be me. Yes, it would be you.
And what? You think I'm afraid of doing self-harm? I don't mind ripping out my own jaw if it means protecting someone.
Well, that's why you have me. But you won't let me come out and play.
That's because you're too wild.
Wild. Look at us. Look at what we are. We were created from evil. We shouldn't exist.
And yet, currently, we are being molded by good-heartedness.
Only until you become weak again. Just enough for me to get control. Yes. I'd like to take a bite out of your friend. I'm kinda hungry here. Hey, did you feel the hunger? It just aches at you. And he starts to walk around you again. You hear the thumping. You feel it. Every bit of it. Just a little bite wouldn't hurt, would it? And you see this toothy grin shoot out of his, like, just the ugliest thing you can see, even though it's you. He turns and he kind of walks away from you for a moment. You hear the thudding from his footsteps. You're realizing you really don't hear wind, you don't hear the thunder and lightning, but you hear this thudding from his own footsteps. And he slowly turns back to you. Maybe I should just take control now. You're at a weak point.
Am I?
Let's find out. And he bares his teeth at you. I'm ready to take control. You're weak.
So then we're making this a bet then.
Bet. Sure.
Then, how about this then? You win, take control. Why not?
Fine.
I win, then we unite.
There is no uniting. Rather suffer. And you see him take position that you know as a soldier, he's getting ready to attack. Time
Right.
to have a snack.
Well then I guess it's time for a brawl.
He tries to lunge at you. I'm going to use this one. And he misses you. It's like you kind of sidestepped him and he slid right past you. He didn't even do anything to you. And he stumbles past you as he does this. You feel his breath, you feel the teeth snap, but he doesn't make contact.
Well, with his fumble, I will go ahead and take a bite.
All right.
Damage wise, how much like dice would it be? So I can estimate on what I should roll.
Let's see. Yeah, it's for your bite. Did I put in there for... I don't remember what I put in for yours. Did I put in for bite? Oh, crap. I forgot.
Uh,
Thought I said
Nothing's been changed about my character.
Ah, crap. Okay. I gotta remember to add these things. See, I told you I forgot.
Should we just say it's like the equivalent of my vengeful axe? Which is
Sure, and then we'll adjust it afterwards.
yeah, so I'll make it so it's a 2d10 instead of the 2d12.
Yeah. You will definitely hit him. And hurt him.
Waiting.
Where are you biting him at? Because he's kind of
Uh,
slid past you. You could hit his flank or his tail or something.
Well, he said that he went for a lunge and missed. So
Mm-hmm.
can I take like a bite out of it, like near the back of the neck?
Sure. He's sliding right past you. It's giving you an opportunity too. So I'm giving you that as well. So it's like because he's screwed up right now by just lunging. So you hit him, you do some pretty good damage. He backs away from you shaking. Ah, dirty play. You can see he's hurt, but he's still up and he's looking pretty mad at you. Do you wish to take another attack? Because he tried to
Yes,
take an opportunity on you and he sucked at it. So
I will definitely take another attack
shit. Okay.
for a total of 26.
What kind of attack did you want to do on him? Because he's still fairly close to you. So
I'll take another. Well, I can't really say take a slash because my arms are short. Uh, would we say it's like a tail bash?
you can. You have your
All right,
tail.
then a tail bash for 26 bludgeoning them.
He gets knocked flying. He's still upright though, but he does take
And
some good damage from it. So
I also want to say that wasn't dirty. This is Divine Smite, first level.
you see him get hit, and he's just like, "Oh, you are dirty. That is not nice. Oh, why don't you do this when you're letting me have control? You know, when we have some fun. You know, it was fun chewing on those other creatures before. I don't know why you threw them up, though. They were so tasty." So he's going to try and take an attack on you now. And does an 18 hit you? Can't remember.
Am I able to use defensive duelist here?
What does that use exactly, or how does that work? I should say.
If I'm wielding a finesse weapon, with I am proficient with, another creature attacks me with a melee attack, I can react and add my proficiency bonus to my AC for the attack, potentially causing the attack to miss. Which is why I'm going to ask, do natural weapons count as finesse?
They are a part of you. I'm gonna have to say yes because they are a part of your body, and you would know in some form how to use them, or at least
If
be able to control them as well.
if that is so, then it is a miss.
Okay. So he's gonna try and take another happy. Oh, that one does not. So one last one. He tries to take that one. I know will not hit you. Jesus, it's rolling so low right now. So he tried to take a tail swipe at you. You just step back and it just whips by. So it's your turn. And he's sitting there. What? How are you doing this? I should have control here. This is my plane as well. I can control it as well.
I want to grapple. As you said, he swiped his tail at me. I'm gonna grapple and grab his tail.
Okay.
Dude, go pro wrestling on his ass.
Okay.
Give him a suplex and then the people's elbow. Let's go.
24.
Oh my god. He's sitting. You got him by the tail and he's got his head turned. Get your filthy claws off of me, you simple weakling.
As
You're gonna pick him up by the tail and throw him.
I was gonna say, can I throw him as another action
If you can do
or as my extra attack?
well, actually, let me say, I'm like, with your strength, you've got pretty good grapple on him. Fucking throw him.
Then, as he said that he should have more control. This is his realm. I'm gonna toss him, which would make him prone. I believe, right?
Yes, it will. Because you
Um,
are throwing him, and he is bipedal, so he's not going to exactly be able to just kind of control his fall as easy. It'd be the same
Is it
for
going to be
you.
overlaid from the top rope?
Yeah.
Now here's another question: did that grapple and throw count as one action or both actions?
Just count it as one. Jesus.
Cool. So as I throw him, but you're forgetting, I was here first.
As you
As
start to throw him, you do notice the surroundings lighten up, become a little brighter. The thunder and lightning kind of disappear. You start to feel and hear wind, not strong, just a breeze. And you hear the trees start to rustle, and it kind of lightens up. It's not so dark and gloomy.
and then with him now being prone, I'm gonna go up to him and bite into his neck
Shit. Okay.
for 25 and 28 damage.
You see this purplish flow come from him. You know that's Energon. But at the same time, it's kind of got a red tinge to it, like blood. And it's kind of swirling, mixing. Ew. Ah. So at this point, I'm going to assume you're still holding his neck with your teeth because you technically have him pinned right now.
Yeah, in which
Let me do you, let me
is he
see.
gonna try something?
Well, I'm trying to think. How many attacks have you done so far?
I've
Two?
already
The
done
two.
two. I
Okay, you got
can't do
another.
anything with the bonus action,
Okay,
as I don't
I thought
believe
you had a.
so.
I thought you had a third
Yeah.
attack.
That's if I was using a finesse weapon, which I am
Oh,
currently not.
okay. So he's gonna try, and he gets at least a couple tries here to do this. He's gonna try and get out of it. He's not going to. He tries to kick you, misses. Does an 18 hit you? I can't remember if it does or not.
Is it at disadvantage?
At this point, yeah, he is disadvantaged right now. So
Because
he's
reaction defensive duelist.
oh, crap.
No.
Okay, so he misses you. You still got him pinned. And you can see his little arms trying. I got a bit hard little arms, master. And you can see him flailing and trying to kick and do just to get out of this situation. He's not able to.
And now,
It,
considering that we are in the mind, I don't need to. I don't need to actually speak, but speak through the mind. As I'm gonna crunch further down into his neck, and I'm guessing this will be an attack at advantage, correct?
yeah.
Cool. 22 for 20 damage.
You see more of this energon blood splurting out, and he's kind of choking because you're biting him hard, and his uh vocal system is not working as well. So you hear, just unto
As
me, you weakling. You will never be able to control me, and if you let me stay, you will fail. As he splurts blood out his mouth. Blech.
how about I make you yield instead?
Why would you do that? All I've been trying to do is take control of you. But you are not as weak as I thought. You are stronger, but still weak in some spots. I will yield to you. And you see him relax. You can end me or let me up. You are in charge. And you see the skies and everything clear. You just see clouds. It's very peaceful, very calm. You hear animals now. You see mountaintops with snow. You see a desert in the distance. You see all kinds of stuff all around now. And it's peaceful and quiet and calm, except for this dinosaur looking creature that looks identical to you, but darker version of you.
As I'll go and release him. What you may say is weakness is just simply further strength to be drawn upon. For something dear is lost brings about a great desire.
He stands up very slowly. He's pretty messed up. You are not as weak as you seem. And as you're as this other dinosaur's talking, you start to hear its voice change and become lighter and softer. And you start to kind of recognize this voice a little bit. It seems like you have accomplished something. And it is a test to see your mental fortitude. Your spark is stronger than you let on. And you see this dinosaur change slowly from coloring and size and shape. You realize you're talking to your new friend in your mind. And she's standing there in her dino form and she's looking at you. You are stronger than you look.
Well, how does that saying go? Be weak in front of the strong, and strong in front of the weak.
Hidden perceptions. Very nice. Zar will be pleased with your progress as well. I will see you outside. And you see her wink in her dinosaur form. See you then. And you hear this little laugh as she vanishes. And you're just left in this serene, peaceful calm. You hear water running by and a little stream. And it's like you're in your own little dream world now.
That was annoying.
Then you're kicked awake by her. And you hear this voice, "Hey, wake up."
I'm starting to wish I bit harder.
I heard that.
What is it?
You have passed the mental fortitude test. We still need to work on your training a little more. You seem to fight yourself inside for a while, but it was interesting to see you take control. You showed leniency even to yourself. It was interesting.
There was always a chance to improve, be it deadly or not.
We train more, but now could you train me in your soldier ways so I can protect our pack here better and maybe teach others? And she kind of bows to you, like out of respect to you.
All right. We'll more likely need to go to somewhere more open.
That is easy enough. We have a training area here. The one we kind of started in. We can go there. And she pulls back the flap of the door, and you see others standing outside waiting for you. Others are here to learn, if that is okay with yous.
Uh, I mean, I'm not much of a teacher, but I could give it a shot.
Well, if you could show me how to at least do that. And she does with her little claw hands back and forth. Thing you did to me. That would be most helpful. And then I can try to teach others. Here, if you don't mind. Please.
Teaching isn't the hard part, is understanding, that is.
Well,
As I'll go
then.
ahead and start getting up and start heading to the grounds.
Now you see other creatures. There's some other smaller dinos there. There's some other mammals. You you see some other what could be winged creatures, like flying ones, but they're not like a normal birds. But they're there too, watching. You guys make your way to the training area, and I hope this is acceptable in training area. Please teach me at least, and then I will learn what I can from you.
Hmm. It's not the best, but it'll definitely have to work. Now then, I want you to center yourself.
Center myself.
Kind of control your energy in a sense into one area.
Energy.
Clo-
She starts looking around
close
like, where?
energy as I'll well point to her and you. Center it somewhere within you.
Me. And you, as she gestures to herself, you see the others kind of look at themselves and point toward themselves. And you just see this. It's like you can see it just out off the sides and everything. In myself. Okay, I think I can do this. Um, so I need to center.
Close your mind.
But how do I do if I close my mind?
Simply cancel out any noise and only focus on one thing, and that is within you.
Oh,
The th-
I think I understand a little. And you see her eyes close slowly, and you feel it around you. Suddenly, it's like calm and quiet, and you realize that all these other creatures have done the exact same thing. And it's like a very quiet. You only hear what's happening in the village behind you. And it's not very loud, but you get the sensation that some others are watching from the village like, what the heck are they doing?
Now, focus onto my voice and listen closely. With this power may come with some responsibility that some are willing to uphold, some not as much.
Great power comes great responsibility.
With your power, you wish to protect. What do you want to protect? The people around you, your planet, yourself. Something simple yet wide. Now, it is the question on how. Do you wish to? Do you simply wish to protect this planet that you were born on? That you wish to protect its nature and its inhabitants? Do you wish to uphold a greater good, the law of your people? Or do you only simply wish to bring about punishment to those that have done wrong to those of innocence?
I want to protect my pack, my village, my home. I want.
Focus on that feeling
I
and think of it to a
can.
greater place. And once you do so, spread about that power that you have within you into a more physical plane.
You feel this collective, I guess, sensation around you because all these creatures are doing the exact same thing as she is and trying to, and it's kind of like they're taking a deep breath and just letting it out very slowly at the same time. And you feel this calm.
And now, to begin with, focus that power to your senses. With your eyes closed, sense the creatures around you. Doesn't have to be specific, just any creature that is breathing.
You see her head slowly turn and starts to move, kind of almost snake like, but it's very slow, very subtle. Just
Now, can you see the
movements.
powers that within them as well?
I sense so much. I I feel so many.
Now, extend that power to your hands. This will be the first step to protecting those that you wish to protect.
I understand.
Once you feel the power welling within your hands, open your eye. As I'm also going to prepare a blade of mine.
Okay.
And as soon as I see her open her eyes, I will perform an action.
She's sitting there. I feel something, and opens her eyes kind of quickly and is looking directly at you.
You feel the power?
I feel something.
Then use it. As I'm going to quickly just slash my arm across.
At her? I'm
No,
assuming.
myself.
She moves. Suddenly, it's like a blast, but it's not explosive. It's just your blade isn't even, it's so close to yourself. She is somehow transformed into her bot form and stopped you from striking. And she's standing between you and your blade, holding it back with her hand.
Seems to me you were able to draw upon it.
How? And she kind of turns, slowly looks up at you, and her optics are so wide right now. How did I know possible? What did happen? And she starts speaking in her animal form, kind of like, what just happened? What? It's and you hear all the other creatures like hushed whispering guttural sounds, different creature sounds talking amongst themselves quietly. Like, how did she do
You,
that?
you turned a desire that was within you into physical, into a physical essence. The essence of protection. It is a first step, but it is something that we all must take, one way or another.
He slowly steps out between you and the blade, and he gently lets go. Then can we practice a bit more? And she kind of gestures to the others, and you hear her saying something. You see some of the creatures moving out, some way bigger than others, some equal in size. They're kind of like on a training field stance, and you see them trying to practice it. And some are kind of trying. They're being, you see them, some are having a little trouble with it, but she's the only one so far that has transformed in motion while doing it. So she was dino form and all of a sudden she's bot form. But you don't see the
Well,
others really doing it yet. They're doing something, but it's literally what you did, but she was able to do it and do it even better.
then I have a first test for you then, if you're to do that much. You have wounded here, correct?
Yes, but your friend has healed most of them up. There are still some injuries that we can heal over time.
Then, how about we help accelerate this?
You see her tip her head to one side. How?
Well, with the power of your protection. As I'm going to go walk towards the medical hut that they have.
You see there's some bots kind of outside wandering, like
Oh,
kind of meandering outside of it, kind of waiting to go in and be
yeah.
seen or at least get
I
help.
was I was gonna say before I completely go over there, I was gonna halt and look towards the others. If you all wish to have a better demonstration, or if you wish to continue training in this way, then please follow.
You notice when you turn around and go to say that most have already started following you. And you noticed a few of the other ones from the village itself have kind of wandered over to observe and see what you're doing. While you're doing this, we're going to switch back over to Void Striker, who's gotten some help in this cave that these little rodent creatures have taken him to and shown him some stuff.
I like that boulder. It's a real nice boulder.
This one looks so round. As you are sitting there, you still hear the one chittering in your ear, Void Striker, and you got these other two large bots, and you can hear them every once in a while. And you could swear they're just complaining and moaning. And you hear the three chittering between each of them. And you start to clear, you start to notice this is a piece of technology buried in this rubble. And the more that is uncovered, you're kind of making out something. You're not sure exactly what it is, but it looks like a very old piece of technology. It's pretty big, too. Would you like to investigate it?
Yes.
Roll me an investigation on it, please. Do you want to throw in Flash of Genius for fun for it? No, I'm kidding. You don't have to with
No,
that
I think
roll.
I'm good this time.
As you start to scan it, it explodes. It kills all the creatures in the. I am kidding. No.
Ah, what a shame. Campaign's over,
As
guys. Sorry. TPK.
as you are standing there, and these creatures are moving, like I said, a couple boulders at a time. You're noticing. You're starting to see. You're like, I know this vehicle. Your scans are coming up with something very interesting. You've only seen it. You never got to scan it. And it was in a sense, it would be considered a relic of the time. This large, massive vehicle. It looks like it's been there for, well, since a golden age before anything really developed on this planet.
Have we revealed enough for me to possibly scan this for an alt mode?
Yes, because you have assistance from 2 other creatures.
I'm going to boot up my TCOG and scan new alt mode.
You scan this thing, you suddenly get a layout of it. And again, you're splicing it, but this goes way faster. The other one is going to take some time to process because it's a biological and it's little different structuring. But this, your body adapts to it fairly quickly. You realize your body starts to conform. The 2 beasts, the bigger ones, kind of step back and away from you, and you hear the chittering. You notice the little one that was on your shoulder is not on your shoulder now, and has kind of disappeared off your shoulder. And you see them all kind of moving away from you as your body starts to reconstruct around and change a bit. You notice you've got some treads now, and you've got this protrusion that seems to kind of stick off your back, but it's not sticking out. It's just kind of mounted there, and you feel a little different. We're definitely going to have to come up stats for this thing. And you realize you are some kind of large, old artillery tank of some sort. You notice in the specs that you can actually change into an artillery or be a tank.
Right there in front of the group that basically helped me excavate this thing, I'm going to transform into the tank mode.
They kind of stumble back, and you see one of the big ones kind of runs back a bit, and the other one kind of stumbles back and stays, and you notice it's taking like a fighting position as the other one is kind of arming itself, like, what are you doing? Because they don't know what you're doing. You transform into this massive tank, and you see the little ones, you hear them, and you see the 2 big bots kind of relax, but they're still, you can see they're kind of still tense watching you. You have this movement now with treads. You can drive around.
I'm going to switch into siege mode.
As you do, you feel your front and back treads kind of spread out to give you more stability, and you feel your turret on top move and position into an angle to get a longer shot now.
Once
You
I've done
can-
that, I'm going to swap back into bot mode.
As you do, you see the other, they kind of reposition, reposture back into like they're going to fight. And then they kind of like, oh, you're like, you see them physically relax, like, oh, you're back. As you do, you're still about the same size, but you got this little bit of new look. You got a little bit of treading going on. You got this nice turret.
Well, considering I now
blends in with
have 6 treads in my alt
Yeah.
mode.
Yeah. So you're sitting there and you got this little beefier look to you. You're still kind of, you got a nice physique to you, but you got a little thickness going on in certain spots.
I like to imagine I've got treads on my, basically from my knee down to my feet, on my elbows, and then 2 treads on my back as well.
Yep. And as you're standing there, you notice you get this funny sensation. You kind of suddenly, the turd on the back flips up and flips over your shoulder and points. And the bots hit the deck. And you realize you have a large shoulder cannon.
Nice.
And then you retract it back and it folds back down and out of the way. And it's like they kind of like ducking down, like, and they slowly look up. Even the rodents are hiding under the big ones. So like they pop out. And you see the sandy one come out and like gesturing. And it looks pissed at you. Like, you scared the shit out of us, you asshole.
Nothing to be afraid of, little one.
It kind of looks at you, turns its head, and kind of like, okay. And you see it turn around and kind of like, and like, shoo, let's go. And it turns back to you. Come on. Like, look, you can see it waving like a little paw, and you see it scurrying along, and you see the 2 big bots as they walk away from you, but they turn and look at you and look you up and down, and they look at each other. And then they transform and they just kind of walk back. They're beast modes.
I'm gonna walk back because I have a feeling my alt mode is a bit too thick for these passages.
You'll still fit through them. These are the passage you guys went through was bigger because those guys were able to fit through. You're still going to be able to fit through. You wouldn't fit through the one Gilgamesh went through, but you'll be able to still make it through.
Well, yeah, Gilgamesh is fun size.
As you walk back into the village, are you... You see the 3 rodents making their way back to the medical tent, and you see there's a few patients outside, but you see a crowd kind of walking toward this medical tent. And somebody's in the lead. Overload. You see a couple of the bots outside kind of getting nervous because they're catching sight of this big dinosaur one coming toward them, and then they see Void Striker walking toward them, and they're like, and they're really nervous right now. What are you two going to do?
When I get up to the tent, I'm just going to sit down outside.
All right, well, let's just say you get up there. Overload, you're just getting to the tent as well with the rest of this group. And you see Void Striker, and you notice some little differences on him. Void Striker, where are you going to sit at outside of the medical tent?
Just a bit away from the entrance, but close enough, that I can help if needed, but far enough away to not make everybody stupidly nervous.
You see the sandy little hamster turn around to you and kind of, and like, we're going inside to tend to them. And you see the other 2 of our little rodent buddies have gone inside. The little sandy hamster one kind of goes through the door opening but gestures to the others, and she kind of stops and looks over at Overload and the rest of the group, and she kind of chitters at you, Overload.
Sorry to disturb. I'm merely performing a demonstration to help these ones understand their newfound power. It will be beneficial, I promise.
And she steps forward. She's trying to tell you, well, more or less, she was asking you what you were doing, and then she's like, as long as you don't break anything, we're okay, is what she's telling you.
Okay, so I interpreted correctly.
Yeah.
Yay.
So That was just dumb luck of me. I'm like, okay, is he gonna actually figure this out when I say it that way? So the hamster's like just and just walks inside.
Now, to not cause a disturbance, I will only take one in. Others may watch from outside. We don't want to disturb the peace too much.
You see the rest of them nod and they all back away and they kind of go sit down patiently, and you can hear them, the different animal sounds talking between each of them. And it's like you guys can't really decipher what they're actually saying to each other because it's more complicated than it actually is. It's really complicated, but it's interesting. And what did you name
Ari.
car
Ari.
I there we go. I can talk.
Now,
Ari,
Ari.
she goes, I'll go with you. And she's still in her bot form. But she goes, I'll go with you. I will teach them. And you notice her tone and her voice has changed since you started talking and since things have changed a bit.
You are currently the most proficient out of them, so it is only right.
Yes, I will do this.
Now, as I'm gonna look around to see on who's either like semi-heavily wounded or people that might possibly have like an infection or disease.
You see the two bots that were outside. One was a little bigger than the other, but not by much. They're still smaller than, well, definitely smaller than you. And you notice that Arya, she kind of walks over to the one that's closest and it has sat down on one of the cots that's right there, the bed. And you hear her say something in beast form. And then she turns back and you hear her old voice. This stuff again. Mm. And you notice there's something. It looks like something that is trying to corrode or erode. Hey, go lie down. She's not here. That's a different sound, you dork. He thinks she's home. But you see on the arm, it looks like almost like a fungus, but you see it's kind of corroding the bot parts underneath.
Hmm. It seems this one is afflicted with something then. Do you know of what nature?
Yes. It is kind of a form of what do you call it when things fall apart? Deteriorate? Deterior.
I understand what you're trying to say, yes. Deterioration.
Yes, that word. Zar has taught us much, but some words still trouble. Yes, it causes it to deteriorate. If causes problems with spots of movement. And you notice the bot is trying to move its hand and its arm, but it's like it's stiff. And you can almost physically, like, you can hear like a scraping sound as it's trying, but you hear the crunchy crackly sound like something's breaking too a little bit.
All right. I'm gonna lean towards this bot. Is it fine if I were to demonstrate my powers onto you?
Just a moment. And she turns to the bot and it looks at you kind of worried and looks at her, and she puts a hand on the bot's shoulder and she says something else, and it nods, and it looks over at you and like, okay, but it's still
Then
worried.
I will nod back. Now, with this power, you are able to protect your kind, and there are different ways of doing such. By healing, which is what you prevented me from damaging myself. But then there is another aspect, and that is to cure. as I'm going to extend my hand to the corroding part and use 5 points of lay on hands to cure a condition.
As you do, Arya, she kind of looks at you stunned, but watches this. And even the little hamster like creatures that are there, they're in their little bot form and they come up. You see the other two run up and they're watching this. And you can kind of hear this whispered chittering between the two. And the one you could see is right next to Arya. And she's like watching intently, like, how? They're really, it's just watching this. You see the glow and everything, and the bot, you could kind of see its optics are closed tight. Like, I don't want to see, I don't want to know. And you kind of get done doing it, and you see its optic kind of open, like, eh? And you can
I
see
will
its hand
give a little
move.
motion of like move.
And you see its hand starts to move, but you don't hear the scraping or the crackling sound. And the arm looks a lot better. You could see it start to flex it around. Arya takes the hand and it's still moving its hand and its arm a little bit, but she's looking it over and it's like, we can do this? Well, we
Yes.
do other.
However, it is taxing on your powers. Even as for it can still be tiresome. But in due time, and if you train well, you can do all of this and potentially more.
By the great Onyx Prime, this is something we can use. We will learn. And you hear the little chittering of the sandy one next to her. And yes, you too. We will teach yous too, okay?
I will look towards the little ones. Are there any more that were afflicted like this?
You see, they all three look at each other. They nod, but it is not a good nod. And Arya kind of puts her hand up to you and is like, no, don't at. She's like, she kind of leans over to you closely. Um, they didn't make it. That was a while ago.
I
You,
see.
you see the three little ones are kind of like, yeah, it's not good look. Just kind of, they're like fidgeting with their paws and stuff and really not saying anything. But Arya kind of stands up a little bit. But with this, we could stop it from happening. Considering it is more of a trap that gets sprung on us. Some of us can clean it off and it will go away, but some are not so lucky. You see this bot stand up, and it's not very tall. It kind of looks almost like you can tell by some of its markings, it's some kind of mammal. Not a lot of fur, but it's enough that you can tell it's some kind of mammal. And it looks at you, it takes its fist and thumps it to its chest, and it bends and bows to you and nods it toward Arya and walks out the door. Arya kind of just stands there for a moment and she goes, if this is what we can do, our village would be better. Our pack would be better. We have lost too many.
There is something else I wish to mention, but not in the crowd.
Oh, understand. We can find more quiet area, peaceful solitude to talk.
Yes, there is something I wish to mention, but at the same time, I do not wish to give false hope.
Very well. I can take you to our main hut that we usually have meetings in. We use that for quiet conversation to discuss matters of greatness.
Then I will go ahead and head to the front of the hut and look to the onlookers that were participating within the power demonstration. To those of you that have been able to draw out your power and you wish to do good, then please start here.
As you say that, you see a couple of different ones pop up in front of you, just like, and
There you
they
That's always
really,
good.
yeah. So you got about 5 that have popped up successfully out of maybe about 16. The rest are still working on it. You can see they're kind of making progress, but they still need practice on it. But they're making progress.
All right. Then I'll just simply motion to them to step in and do some good.
And so while they're in there, you get different bots coming and going. Void Striker, are you going to do anything else other than sit there? He's going to chill.
Is my help required?
Not that I know of. I'm just asking.
Like the upgrade.
Yeah, found an ancient vehicle in a cave back there.
Nice. Hopefully it has some firepower to it.
I'm gonna just fold my cannon over my shoulder. It does, and then just fold it back.
As you
Yeah.
do that, you see all the creatures around kind of jump back a little bit watching you do this. And it's like, and Arya's nearby you and she kind of looks over and she goes, "Oh, what manner of thing are you?"
I'm gonna look over and go, "Do you want to see what I can turn into now?"
Mm, she kind of looks around. No, not here. You will startle more than I wish to contend with. Please don't. And she kind of looks at the rest of the group. And there you see some of the smaller ones have hidden behind things and disappeared. And it's like, yes, please don't. We can do this elsewhere.
But in the meantime, the Hut of Solitude.
This way. And she leads you. Void Striker, are you tagging along with them?
Sure, why not? I got nothing better to do.
Now you guys start to proceed. The others are still practicing, but they kind of pause to look at Void Striker as he walks by, because he looks different than when he came in. And as you guys are walking to the bigger hut, you notice it's kind of a little off in a different spot away from the village, just to give like this is where we do have our big meetings, but it's also a gathering area for the rest of the village to come out and be outside of when they decide on things, or if something needs to be done, they can come out and present it. As you do, you suddenly feel on your shoulder something with talons hooked onto you, and he kind of leans down and kind of into your optic range. And he just kind of looks down at Void Striker, kind of, I see you have an upgrade.
Found a decent alt mode while we were here.
I see. I have not seen one of those in a long time. If I am guessing what it might be from the looks of those treads.
Yes, golden. There was a buried golden age vehicle in the back of the cave.
And you see, he kind of perches up here.
As I'm just gonna display a hologram of the vehicle from my hand.
And you can see him lean down, and he's got great vision as his hawk. So he can see it, but you see him lean down intently. Here, on this planet, that shouldn't.
I was surprised to see it here as well. I'm also currently progressing on this scan as well, as with my other hand, I'll display the other scan that's still being worked on.
And he kind of sits. You see him kind of sit up, like, oh, I see. Upgraded flying mode, huh? That's gonna take a bit to process, but it'll suit you.
Well, considering it is compiling from the remains of a completely organic being.
And you swear you could see one of his eyebrows go up, like, organic? Fully organic. So this will take some time. Interesting. Well, it'll be a nice addition to yourself. Speaking of additions, scaly one, and he flies down to you, Overload, and kind of lands on you. You doing any better with the rage thing? And he taps on you with the claw, talons, the claw of his talon, just tapping on you.
So far, yes. I am able to control my will, at least.
Oh, that's good. I didn't want to become like a bird stew or something for you.
You wouldn't be a bird stew. A fillet, more likely.
Hey, that's not funny. And you hear Arya up ahead of you, you hear her laughing. So you guys reach this big hut. And I mean, this thing's pretty big. You guys can walk in freely without having to stoop down much. And you see a kind of a large fire pit in the middle. It's burning, but it's burning kind of bluish. And you see her hand wave in the air, and it suddenly turns kind of almost a whitish, but yellowish, but it's dimmed down, so it's not super bright. And she kind of goes, please have a seat. We can discuss things. And there's enough room here if you wish to show your alt mode. I just did not want the rest of the village to be startled. We do not tend to see technology here.
That's understandable. If you wish to see my alt mode, you might want to stand back.
She takes a few steps back. Is this plenty of room?
You'll need to step back a bit more.
She takes 2 big steps back. Now?
That should be fine. I'm going to go into tank mode.
She jumps back even further as soon as you transform, and she sees this massive tank, and you see her kind of scramble a little bit backwards. She kind of falls back onto the seating and kind of scrambles backwards. You can see the fear in her eyes. And she kind of fumbles behind some of the seating, and she's kind of hunched back and hiding behind. You look like something from the past.
I'm going to go back into bot mode. I grabbed this form from an golden age vehicle from the back of this cavern.
They showed you this, didn't they?
They primarily wanted to show me this, as I would display the scan of the, scan in progress.
That is from long ago. The other one, just as long. Those came from Sky. we thought we upset our god here, and and he sent those to punish us. We thought we didn't all see this. Only the oldest of us have. Bad times.
Don't worry, I don't plan on taking this alt mode while I'm here on this world.
It is okay. Just I am glad I had you do it here. There are some of us who are old enough to remember those. And she approaches you and she kind of puts her hand on one of your fingers because you're massive to her. And she kind of has her hand on yours. You not bad one. Just the form reminds us of bad things. Maybe you can put it to better use.
That is the plan.
And you see her kind of sniff at you for a moment. Interesting. And she walks away from you. What did you want to talk to us about? Overload.
Well, now I can't say this is for certain, as this is only what I've been told. There are ways to reboot the core, one could say. And with the power that I helped you gain, it is slightly possible.
Reboot core.
Bring the dead to life again.
But what about their spark? Wouldn't it
Their
be a
spark
problem?
would be the spark would be intact, but to say what would happen once they are brought back is a different story. They might not be them self again after experiencing death for the first time.
Hmm.
Some take it differently, some never recover.
Interesting. I do not know how the village would take to those who have gone and returned like this. It would be something we need to address with Czar and
Yes,
some of the others.
as it doesn't change who they were, as it simply repairs them before their death. However, it is very, very time sensitive.
How long time need?
They can only be brought back before a minute passes.
You see her get up. She starts to kind of pace around the fire. And you see her thinking. So if it is after their death, we do the heal and then bring back?
Yes, it it can't bring back those that have well died to natural causes, and if one is to be brought back from a not painful dismembering part will not will not regrow.
Hmm. this may be better than what I thought things would be. I will discuss this with the other elders. Czar might be okay with it, but some may not. We believe once we are gone, we cannot return, even if it's
It
immediate.
is more or less defying nature. That much I understand.
You see her pace around to the other side. She's kind of opposite to both of you, but she's kind of got her back sort of turned. It would have been good to have this use long ago. I wouldn't have lost. Never mind. I do not think this will be. I'm sorry. I have no. I wish we had this back then. I wouldn't have lost them.
That is
I
then, and this is now. Focus on the now and bring about a better future for you and your clan.
Yes, for the people here that we have, the many who lost though. But if we can, I don't think Zara will be a problem. Like I said, it will be easier. And if they see it
Yes.
as a repair and health, they will most likely accept it then.
Yes, and you can see why I didn't wish to say this publicly.
Yes.
It can seem decisive.
Yes. Thank you for doing this.
You wish to
Do you
learn of
need
what I
my
can
help?
do? Have you walked the same path as I have?
Are you asking if I walk the path of life, death?
In a sense.
But if we can heal and bring them back before it is too late, I will just make sure to word it that you are healing the body, but it has to be at peace for the moment to do so.
Think of it as bringing one's state before said incident,
Yes,
reversing what has been done.
yes, I understand. But for the rest, I have to word it in carefully to make sure they understand that this is not return to spark from long ago.
Yes, and just so it's clear, the person that does become brought back after before a minute's worth, they will have the same memories, the same personality. Everything is the same. They are no different from once they were.
Then I will go talk to Czar and we will talk with the council.
There's just one thing you've got to mention, Overlord.
That is
The energon cost.
right. It is indeed a hefty cost to bring back one's sworn. It is heavily draining and costly at that.
Energon, we don't have much energon, at least within our close proximity here. You see, how do I put it? Mostly biological. And she walks over to kind of one of the near the entrance. She picks up a basket. She brings it over and she holds up this round purplish reddish plant like thing. We eat. We get energy from plant or even other animal. And she takes a small bite and she chews it up. And you see her body starts to process it. You see her body, where it's glowing in certain spots, starts to pulse slightly as her body's processing it.
Can I scan one of those fruits?
She takes one and she holds it up to you.
Could this fruit serve as a energon substitute specifically for them for this type of ritual?
Do an investigation on it. And I'm going to deal with the
I'll
dog for a
assist.
moment.
I'll definitely assist. So 15.
You sure it's a 15?
Well, then whatever your intelligence is.
That makes it a 20.
There we go. Sorry about that. I had to let him out.
20.
Of course. You pick up readings. It's got a natural energy to it that is produced through the plant itself somehow. And she kind of looks over you. Most of our plants that we can eat are our energy, how we process and produce our systems and keep ourselves running. We have many gardens set up.
Wait, you grow these?
Yes. Would you like to see them?
Happily, yes.
There are some good news, by the way.
This much I do know.
If my scan is accurate, we should be able to substitute the energon cost for the fruit.
She
That's
looks
what I was thinking, yes.
she looks up at you. Do you think it's possible? I mean,
Potentially a basket's worth, possibly.
and she just looks at this. We make
If-
this and grow this all the time.
Then I take it you have more of these in storage.
More of them? Yes. We have our own gardens. Like I said, do you want to see them?
Yes, take us there now.
Okay. And she sets down the basket. Follow me. And she comes out. And just as you guys are going, we're going to switch over. Gilgamesh, you were taking a rest during this time. How long of a rest did you want to take?
Well, he hasn't really done too terribly much, so it would have just been like a short rest to just like top off his energy.
All right. You're kind of sitting there. You're coming out of your little sleep for a moment, your little nap. Even Carbine, you see her stretching, her little paws kind of stretching out. You see the claws passing by your head as she stretches out. And you see the tentacles even doing the same thing and the little claws in it as she flexes them. And oh, that was such a nice little nap. And Carbine goes, hey, where are they going? And she sees Void Striker and Overload and Arya walking out of this big hut over in the distance.
Well, let's go join them and find out.
As you make your way over, Arya sees you coming and she goes, oh, Gilgamesh, right? And
he would have changed into his bot form once he left his tent.
yeah, and she kind of points toward Carbine.
Into his beast form, I'm sorry.
Oh, a beast. Yeah.
Yeah.
She goes, Gilgamesh and your small kitten, and she
Companion.
Carbine kind of you sense this like, excuse me.
She is my companion.
You can
Her
see-
name is Carbine.
Overload, Void Striker. You just see this little cat, its ears just turn, and you can see this little annoyance look on her face, like, I'm gonna mess you up. Sorry, I meant no disrespect. I do not know all your terms. I know the feathered one, sort of. He kind of sticks out like a light here. Torch. And Aegis is just sitting there. I haven't said a word to you, and I haven't done nothing to you. Why are you insulting me?
I mean, you are kind of a torch.
And he kind of like, he looks at you for a moment like he's going to argue with you, and he's, yeah. And so
You can always interpret it as her calling you bright.
he just looks over at you. I'll take it. Carbide just kind of calms down, like, fine, whatever. And Arya kind of gestures to you, Gilgamesh, and she goes, I'm going to show them the gardens. Would you like to see where we get our food?
By all means. And he just gestures to lead the way.
She makes her way around the cavern wall from the big hut, and you guys can see another large opening. Now this one's been kind of there. You can kind of see some light, and it looks like bioluminescence. Again, you see this light. She goes, we grow most of ours underground to keep others from destroying and eating them.
So then it doesn't require light, or at least not natural light.
No, it doesn't. It uses our bioluminescence to grow them.
I see.
And as you guys start to proceed though through this opening more, and you suddenly come into this enormous cavern, you see like growing plots. They're kind of not like hexagonal shaped plots of area in this huge cave. You see the different plants growing. In each one of them, you see bioluminescence all around.
Are these
Glowing.
similar to the flowers and the mushrooms that Carbine and I encountered earlier?
Yes, you see the flowers kind of dotting in between here and there, and you see what looks like, you guys can see this easily. You don't even have to roll perception to see any of it. You see these beautiful different types of flowers, and you see kind of like down the middle this row of them. And now it breaks here and there, but you see water flowing through different, almost like piping in different sections. And you can see the flowers of different types. Arya starts walking up, and she kind of puts her hands through them gently, and she goes, these provide somewhat medicines as well as provide us some nourishment in drinks and such. The others, and she gestures over to the plants, these provide us our nutrients and food that we need for what you call energon. And these little things, and she puts her hand up, and some of these little, they almost look like little fireflies, but they're unusual little bugs. These pollinate all the plants for us and keep them growing. And she kind of just moves her fingers, and they crawl around, and then they fly off of her hands. We have a balance here. And she kind of does her hands like a scale. and she walks down. You see all kinds of different plants. One that looks like some kind of tubers of some sort, some squash looking like things, but they're not the same colorings. They're just various types. And she goes, "This is where we get all of our food, and we keep it fairly protected, so nobody can get in here easily. But this is some of our food supply. We do have other areas that we do produce other foods in."
Let's see. Void. With your scan, how much energon does a fruit provide?
Which piece of fruit?
Depending on which fruit and who's eating it, depends on how much energy you'd get.
The one that Ari showed before.
Do you want the exact energon or how many we'll need per person?
Just that.
What? How many we'll need per person?
No, just how much one provides energon wise.
One fruit would be equal to about 1/14 of an energon cube.
And you would roughly need you can see the gears turning in his head as he's trying to understand math.
Arya's just kind of like, "You need to know how much we would need?"
Yes.
He kind of goes further back and she has you guys following. You see all the rows, but then you kind of get to another area and you notice there's bins, like very large bins. And she kind of pulls one open and she goes, and all these fruits kind of tumble to the front, that it's various types. Will this do, or is this not enough? And this could account for many upon many. Like, you couldn't count it all right now. I'm
It's
not
quite the
gonna.
surplus you have here.
How much would you say fits in one crate?
Um, I would have to ask the growers. They know more than I do, but the basket I had, you could get at least 18, 17. I'm not good with the numbers, but 16, maybe 18, something like that.
We'll need a lot
Very much so.
more. Because it would roughly take about 7,000 to 14,000 fruit per person.
Well, that was basket. Is that not enough? And each of one of the baskets can hold a good amount. You're looking at about 50 each of, like, say that one fruit, that was like 50 of them in that basket.
Is the one four, take one. One make one.
He's doing math again.
Like, because like out of character, if it's 1/4 of if a fruit is 1/4 of energon, four fruit make one energon, and the pricing of Revivify is 300, meaning they would need roughly 1,200 fruit to bring one person back.
I gave you a rough estimation for a small group, which was 7,000, 14,000.
Yeah.
She walks over to kind of an opening that it's got a door on it. It's a very large door. And she pulls on it and she kind of struggles for a moment, but you hear this, and it swings open and she goes, "So is that not enough?" And you just see rows upon rows of food.
That'll do it.
We keep this for our harsher times when the weathers change here. We do
I
go
can
through it.
I can definitely say with this amount, you can definitely bring some back, but not a lot.
True. I could see
Choose
this.
carefully on who goes through the process. We don't want to take up all your food supply.
Then we will just be careful. We do have to trade with this as well. So this is why we have so much.
I see.
Do you have any old technology around, perchance?
Well, if you go out up here, there used to be places that we were told to avoid because of voices or
The next question I have
spirits.
is, do you have any heavy flowing water in your cave?
Well, we get our water from the river above us. We filter some of it through here to give our plants life.
I might be able to make a makeshift energon generator for you.
And she kind of just shifts her head. Generator?
A device that will create energon cubes, not fast, but perhaps maybe one or two every month.
This sounds dangerous. May attract
It
others.
won't. It can be completely
Respectfully, with all the food supply that you have here, I'm surprised you don't already have more problems with the other tribes.
We have problems still, but we trade. We are, how do you put it? Fair trade, peaceful trade. Except for there are some that are in the bad zones that we trade not with them, but they do raid our shipments to trade. We have lost many. You already saw one who was hurt badly and did not make it.
The reason I'm asking is the energon can be used to help recover your injured.
Mhm.
Energon is a great supplement to help one's own regeneration systems to kick in.
Then we would need a place to put it out of sight and smell.
Smell is easy. Get something that would not be out of place in this cave and surround the generator with it. And out of sight, you can put it inside of a tent.
She slowly walks over to you and she sniffs you again. Easier said than done. And kind of walks away from you again. We may have a place we can put it that is near water, that is concealed. May cover scent pretty good. Anything else you would require of us?
Just some help to carry some parts.
Easy enough, but the areas you would like to go, many do not.
Most of the parts I can get from, as I point to basically the treads on my arm, from the ancient vehicle.
That is acceptable. The other parts you will need, though, would be out there, right?
I'll go get those parts specifically myself.
Dangerous there.
We're quite capable of handling ourselves.
Hmm. Now that you have mastered yours, Overload, and you seem capable, and you have taught us, I will see about some scouts to show you the ways, but they may not go very far, and you will have to travel on your own after that.
Very well. So long as they point us in the right direction.
I will gather some scouts. For now, I will need to tend to guard duty, as it seems about time for me to go. And she kind of, it's like she knows what time it is, but she does need to go. And she's like, you're more than welcome to explore here, and just be careful of your alt mode. Do not scare the others, please. He points toward you, Void Striker.
I'll not use my alt mode inside your tribe.
Thank you. I will, how do you say, see you later?
That would be correct, yes.
She kind of walks over closer to you. She's in her dino form, and she kind of butts her head against yours. Thank you.
I only merely guided you. The rest was you.
And she nods to you, and she looks over at the both of you, and she nods to both of you, as well as Carbine and Aegis. Aegis kind of nods, and Carbine just kind of like, yeah. And she kind of walks off, and you hear her pick up the pace a little bit as she runs to get to her guard duties. You guys are sitting amongst these plants that are glowing and shimmering, and these little bugs that are floating around and pollinating all the plants.
Okay. I do have a question. From the gardens to the medical hut, how far away would they be, and how would it be to get from one destination to the other?
Well, the main hut, you were near it as is, and the opening to the gardens is not too far from there. But if you look at the way it's going to be laid out, the village is not too far away, but the medical hut is, in a sense, further away from the not farthest point, but it's over past. I guess you would say it was past the big hut where you guys were sitting and talking at first. So it's got a little distance to it. It's not a big distance, but it's far enough.
Okay, so one could not potentially uh, run from here to the hut within a minute then.
Depending on the beast you are. You could.
Yeah, but then I also have to take into account of the weight of fruit, which would then extend it.
Again, depends on the beast. There's different kinds of ones there. There's some that are bigger and slower. There's some that are a little smaller but faster, but they can still haul some stuff. And there's more than one of most of them. So
Okay.
I want you three to give me a perception check, please.
Whoa.
Okie dokie. Perception.
18.
The 22 with Carbine's help.
Whoa, that one. Let's go.
Aegis.
Imagine having help for your rolls. Couldn't be me.
Oh no, Scamper. You got Scamper.
Isn't
Scamper isn't here.
Oh no!
Fuck.
Wait, that's right. He's still back. Okay, yeah, I
Yeah.
forgot. He's still back.
No, he's
Yeah.
minus Scamper at the moment.
You're scamperless. Oh no! So
My
as
mental
And
ball of
Scamper
metal.
can't help me with my rolls anyway, so.
you guys are sitting there, Overload, you get kind of the sensation, like you're looking around. You kind of like Scamper is Void Striker's little part of him that is currently not with him right now. I'm just explaining to chat.
Yeah, I
And
see
then
Galaxy.
then you've got to be specific on which Scamper. Are we talking about the drone Scamper or are we talking about the Scraplet Scamper?
Well, that's a whole difference. Oh god, we're not going there. But no, you Overload. You do get the sensation like you're being watched, like your instinct is kicking in. You're kind of
Is this the same area I felt like I was being watched the first time?
no. You guys are sitting in the gardens right now, and
Can I
even
tell if it's hostile or not?
give me a moment. I will tell you if you can. And Aegis is kind of picking up a little bit of it as well. And Gilgamesh, you're kind of sensing something. You just feel like do feel like something's watching you, but you're not sure what it is, if it really is, or if it's just you're on edge, like because you're in this
Like,
cavern.
with
I
the
don't know.
22, could I even like tell a general direction?
You guys, you and Overload do sense its direction though. And you can see it's kind of, you swear you can, it's somewhere up in this lit bioluminescent area, but you can't be sure. It just looks like a bunch of plants hanging there and roots that are kind of spread out. Even Carbine's like, she's kind of doing this telepathy to you. She goes, are you kind of getting the sense we're being watched?
Yep. Very much so.
Overload, you get a sense that it's not really evil, but it's kind of more of it's whatever it is possibly just examining you guys, trying to figure out who you are.
Studying.
Been watching us since we arrived.
You two do kind of feel it. It's not very big though. But you guys are
Gilgamesh is
still
just gonna
sitting.
proceed as normal. Just he's gonna start walking out of the garden, not really giving that direction much attention at the moment. Well, in the meantime, what else is there for us to do here?
Well, besides from help the ones that are injured or that are, in a sense, diseased by corrosion, there doesn't seem much else. As
You
well
can
as
always come
provide
and
a
carry
energy.
parts from the dismantling I have to do.
So you're away from the mic. What'd you say?
You can always come and help carry parts from the dismantling I have to do.
He needs parts, man. He's stripping the tank down, man. He's jacking the ride.
If you go and help him dismantle for parts, I could stay behind and help the ones that have decided to follow a path of protection on how to use their powers more confidently.
I suppose that could help us since you're going to be training the village to take on the guardian role, I suppose. He's just going to walk over to Void Striker. All right, well, lead the way.
All right, I'm gonna go to the cave, well, the bone cave with the tank.
The bone cave, the graveyard, the other graveyard.
We're going to the Bone Cave.
The boneyard. You're going to the boneyard. The boneyard. As you walk along, ding, 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 ding. Stop playing with the bones. So as you, are you all three going over?
Uh,
No,
those
Overlord's
two are-
going. He's staying with the village.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm staying with the village. Those two are going to the Bone Cave.
So you guys are all going. He just is gonna kind of hang with you, Overload, and he's just kind of like, so. Is there anything you want me to do while I'm here? Because I'm kind of, I can't really fly around in here. At least, well.
Well, since you and I more or less have the same powers, speaking, you could potentially help the smaller ones to wield the power as well.
And he,
Since you'll be on the same height as them, more or less.
you just call me short, and he leans down, optic to optic, and just kind of, did you just call me short?
Respectfully saying, you would be a better teacher than I would since, well,
Oh, now you're calling me old too. Short and old. Wow. He's giving you all kinds of crap.
I'm failing to hear the incorrect part.
and besides, if anything, it might feel good to feel like a teacher for once.
He kind of, you see him kind of flip off your back in bird mode, but he transforms, lands. He does that kind of like that superhero landing for a moment, and he stands right up and he goes, "Fine, I'll do it. I probably teach it better than you anyway." He kind of turns and walks over to these little things, and he goes, "This is the reason why I didn't want to." The little rodent ones, they are all like bowing to him. And he turns back to you and he's like, "You put them up to this, didn't you?"
I simply guided them. They are their own being.
And he turns back, "Okay, knock that off. I am not that." And they kind of scamper back like, "Oh, okay." And you see him automatically, he just starts going, "So now this is what," and you hear this whole demeanor change. He's firm, but he's also being very calm because he sees how they're reacting to him. And so he just kind of sits there and you can hear him explaining how the process works. And he kind of starts leading this smaller group. And he's teaching what you were teaching Arya. And suddenly you see some glowing from a couple of them right away. There's some that it kind of looks like it's a struggling light bulb trying to light up, but they're trying. It's working, sort of. And you can see him kind of they're all like sitting in this like yoga pose, just sitting there concentrating. And it's like, and you see him walk up to one that's super struggling, and you can see his hand gently touch their shoulder, and you don't know what he says, but suddenly you see them kind of relax, and he steps back and away, walks away, and then suddenly the glow starts to happen again. But this time it's stronger, it's much more solid. And you can feel this warmth in the area start to produce. And he walks over. See, I told you it was better. Walk away from you.
Who says your job is done?
Oh, I know. I got to fix what you messed up. And you see his hand come up. He snaps a couple times like, "Hey, over here, listen up." You came here to learn about this. I know you understand me, so don't think you can get away with it. He starts going through this whole thing, and he's just sitting there doing this, chatting away and teaching them how to do it. And you see this big bot just sitting there in this huge yoga pose, and he's just like, you can do this. Doesn't matter how big you are. And he's just like,
Show a good example. Show a good example.
you can see some of the ones you were teaching that were really struggling. He just kind of walks over to him, and he's like, no. You like, just calm down. You're doing fine. You're trying to exert yourself. You hear this whole demeanor change of his, and it's like, yep, he's doing it. He's like, yep, I got this. And he starts teaching them some other things that you haven't taught him at all that he knows. And he's like, yeah, back in my day. And it was like,
I'm not much of a teacher, so
yeah.
I mean, if anything, he's just doing my job for me at this point.
He turns around, hey, you, why don't you go get me something to drink? Come on, snaps out. He turns around, snaps his finger at you. And you know he's grinning from ear to ear when he did that, because you see the beast bots on the other side of him start to kind of giggle and laugh.
Fall.
He falls back. It lands on his tail feather, and he's like, okay, that was uncalled for.
I'm gonna go head back to the tent now.
Hey, not before you get my drink.
I'll do worse.
Never mind. You just hear all the animals laughing.
As I'm gonna walk back to the medical tent.
So, while you're going to the medical tent, Void Striker, Gilgamesh, and Carbine are off collecting parts. Gilgamesh, you're walking into this cavern with all these bones. You're seeing this immense fossil one that somebody has scanned. And Carbine's like, she's hopped down by this point, and she's examining and looking at the bones. And she goes, these things are ancient. These things could really challenge us.
Oh, don't get too sidetracked. We're here just to collect parts.
Yeah, parts. And you see her tentacle waving, like, yeah, okay, fine. This will be great archaeological dig right here. Fine, let's get these parts. And she kind of runs over, and she kind of runs back up onto your shoulders, and she's kind of just sitting up there, not wrapped around you, but perched on your shoulder. And she goes, so where is this thing at? Oh, there it is. And she just kind of stops talking.
I'm going to use a rec tool for the job, and also make some tools for Gilgamesh so we can dismantle this thing.
Carbine climbs in through a little opening, and she goes, ooh, don't go in there. That smells funny. She climbs right back out. She goes, but I did find this. And she found a couple components that you guys need. So she's like, she sets them down on the pile, and she's like, and she slips into spots where you guys can't get into right now. And she's starting to work in her own way. You guys start to strip this thing down.
While we're stripping this, I'm purposely going to permanently disarm this thing.
Oh, you didn't want it exploding? I don't know what
Hey,
happened.
you never know when
are
some
you
random
asking that seriously?
You know, this is the Transformers universe. You never know when a random earthquake's going to reactivate something.
Or Unicron gets mad. Like, mad is insane, but yeah. And Carbine's kind of looking, what in the Unicron is this? And she could just kind of You can see her little tail, little stubby tail in her back paws underneath, and she's kind of like, you see it wiggling. It's like, what is this? What is it? Oh, well, that's useless. And you hear parts being kind of flung around. And she just kind of, you hear, nope, that's useless. That's useless. And you can see her disappear underneath, and you just hear.
Yeah, we're just working on the
Yeah,
outer frame.
yeah,
She's working on the inner
yeah.
components.
Yeah, she goes, "Oh, this will work." And you see the tentacle arm come out and set it down on a rock, and then comes back up. You just hear her getting the smaller components and other things. And she goes, "Oh, that one, we're gonna have to go find one of those. That one's completely crushed. Ooh, I wonder what happened to the driver. Never mind, found the driver." Well, he's like, "Go the other way."
Guessing it's a little squishy in there.
More than squishy. it's
Uh,
it's flat. What's left of it. And you can just see, you guys are working. You're pulling the panels off. You're finally getting to the innards of this what's left of this thing. You can pull off the parts that you need, and Carbine's getting some of the smaller ones that are still intact. She is able to pull out maybe about, from what I can get for a number, is about 35% of the parts that are viable that are not crushed to death, like the driver.
unlike the driver.
Nope, just like the
You
driver,
see-
the parts are.
you know some of those junk parts that she's throwing out that we need.
Mhm.
You know, don't mind me while I fix some of them up.
So now her numbers have gone to 65%. Just because of that. The driver is not, you want to mend that, go for it, try. But no,
I mean, he's a squishy, isn't he?
yeah, there ain't much left of him, and he's been there for
Yeah, we're
long
not
enough
bringing
that.
back a fleshy type.
No, you want a zombie. But it doesn't go after brains, so you don't have to worry. There's no brains, you're all electronics. But you hear Carbine, it's like, I don't think there's anything else in here. Hey, what's this?
Huh?
Oh, nope, never mind. That's nothing. Nope.
Well, if there's nothing else in there for you, make your way out.
If it weren't for the squishy thing over here, I think it would be cozy in here. But yeah, and she kind of pops out, and you see her little head, little tufts, and all you see is her just the top side of her nose and her eyes at the edge of this, and she just looks over. And you see her batting her eyes back and forth between you and Void Striker, watching you tear apart parts. And then she just kind of pops her head up and like, yeah, I don't think there's anything else in there. And she just kind of does her head back and forth. And you see her tentacle arms come up and like assist her to pull her up and out. And she's like, yeah, I don't.
He'll reach in and give her a hand.
She reaches around, wraps the tentacles around your arm, and pulls herself up onto you. And she's like, yeah, there's not much left in there. The most of it's been destroyed beyond what he's doing. Like, really beyond.
So he's just gonna look at the Void Striker. Are you needing some just generic parts, or are you looking for something more specific?
I'm gonna hold up some of the advanced components that I've prepared. These were the primary reasons we're here. Other than that, a couple of these tread systems to help make basically a high-tech water wheel.
All right. He's just gonna continue to strip parts and putting everything in a nice pile.
Carbine kind of hops off your shoulder and goes over to Void Striker. It's like, can I help with this? This sounds like a fascinating project.
Yeah, any help is welcome. Some parts that we're gonna have to get from the technology field that they don't like to approach.
If you give me an idea what parts, maybe Phoenix might have some. And as you guys are sitting there doing that, you guys all kind of get a comm from Phoenix. And it's just him pinging you guys to check in to see how you guys are doing. It's mostly, Just respond back to me. I just need to know you guys are okay.
I'll ping back.
And you guys briefly on the comms for a moment, you hear some beeping, and Carbine just shifts her head and does her eye, like rolls her eyes. Yes, we're okay. Just stay in Phoenix and you'll be fine. It's the little one. And on, if you guys were in Phoenix right now, you'd see the little one sitting up on the console where Gilgamesh usually is sitting in his chair, but she's sitting on the console watching the lights on the screen, waiting for them to light up. It's you guys pinging back to him to say, hey, I'm checking in. And it's specific coded frequencies. So she's sitting there and it's like, okay. What she's pretty much saying, yes, we're all okay. Yes, that's us pinging. Yes, we're fine. Stop. And so she's just getting acknowledgement from all of you. That's all she's doing. But Phoenix sends Gilgamesh a message, and pretty much just it's a text thing, uh, pass through message from Kiara to you.
I'll open it up and read it in my HUD.
As you read this, she has a lot of corrections and some more information. And there's a couple small video clips, nothing real super big, but mostly that she messed up on some of the information. And it's whoever this is escaped way long, like a lot longer ago, like a long time ago. Wow, I can talk. Ah! And that the accompanying videos also show a few other things.
All right, I'll
There's at least
watch
two.
the first video.
The first video is you see this person, this other, I guess, like, I'm going to call her kind of like a doppelganger to you, but she's not escaping, but you see her deviate and seem to change direction suddenly as she's running through this facility. And you see the cameras are all flipping and changing. And then the video cuts as she takes a right turn into what looks like another room. And then it stops there. But you also
All
see
right,
her causing a lot of mayhem too.
All right, play the second video.
Second video, you saw her go and take a right. She kind of slowed down at that moment. But in this one, there's a set of doors, there's a lab. You see something in what looks like some kind of cage. You can't identify it. It's kind of dark. Just it's hard to see in this part of it. And you slowly see the two doors part. And you see familiar arms, tentacle arms, kind of slowly coming in, like they're slowly feeling the air. And then you see some movement, and you see this bot again. That's a white version of you walking through quietly, and you see the tentacle arms reach up and grab the cage, and you see her bolt out of the room real fast, and it cuts to the cameras again, and you see shots being fired. You see bolts of energy just flying past her, and the alarms are going off even more now. And she drops this cage, and you can briefly see something feathered, not very big. And so you briefly see it, but you can't identify it still because the way the cage is laying. But you see her grab it up, but this time she just rips the cage open with the tentacle arms, and you see her grab something and run out. And you can see her proceed down, and her other tentacle arm is just grabbing a hold of a bot that just stepped out at the wrong time and rip its head off and keep on running. And you see her other tentacle arm looks like it's holding something or protecting something because the way she's running with it. And then just as you see it looks like an exit, the camera cuts again. And then below in the text, sorry, this is as much as I got. She picked up something, don't know what it is. All it identifies it as is Artemis.
He's just gonna send a text message back, and he's actually gonna forward the images he gathered from the cave earlier. Thanks for the info. I came across these on the Jungle World. I'm not exactly sure what to make of them, but figure you might have more insight on this than I did. Let me know what you find. And that's just gonna be it.
Phoenix gets the ping. He pings back that he's sending it on right now. And he kind of gives you all an update, though. Night's kind of noisy. Had few things close. Nervously close. Triplets and blend, bleh, I can't remember who I put down there. Blend are maintaining ship but keeping guard. So far, nothing coming too close. So far. Like nervously, like,
Just gonna text back to Phoenix. If anything gets too uncomfortably close, do send us an emergency ping, and we'll make our way to you.
You get a ping back, affirmative, confirming that. And he kind of rambles on in a text for a moment, just kind of like, yep, I got you there. We're all safe here, just don't like it here, kind of moment. Too uneasy. So you get that ping, but everything seems to be okay so far. Nothing's unusual with him. You guys are still getting some parts. Carbine's taken some of the parts and combined them and figured out how to make some of the pieces. She kind of goes, I need to contact Phoenix and see if maybe we have some parts. Get the other bots there to maybe see if we have. Ooh, we might have this piece, but we're still going to need. We might still
We're
need a
still
couple
able
parts.
to receive text pings from Phoenix, so shoot him a quick message. Maybe he can tell you if we have the materials on hand.
Yes, and you see her stop, literally freeze in position, but you see her little ears and the tufts start to move really fast. Done. Just goes right back to doing what she was. And she's kind of like, and she goes, we still need some good amount of parts, but I think we got the start of it. But yeah, we're gonna need some cable. We're gonna need a few other things, maybe a couple other pieces too. But we're making progress.
Gilgamesh is going to continue to strip the parts that they need. He's not gonna mention what he's been seeing in the video. He's keeping that to himself.
As you guys are doing work in there, you hear a familiar voice. You hear Czar. Oh, you found this. The past. Many who are older, such as myself, Arya, and some others, fear this thing. We do not like it.
Well, you should be glad to know then we're stripping it down for parts, so you're not going to see it, at least in the shape that it was in, for very much longer.
Maybe it would be best that way. See a positive thing, right? Yes. I hope you found some information for all of you here that would help you. We do not get many Cybertronians, at least ones that are native to Cybertron here. If they do, most end up well, food. I do not know what the dogs are barking at.
I'm grateful for those little mouse beasts for showing me this place.
Oh, I'm glad they could assist you. You look different than the last time. I have no idea what the dogs are barking at. Gonna freak me
Nice.
out.
I'm gonna tap the tank that was stripping. I've taken the past and incorporated it into myself,
I see. He looks
as
at you
well
very
as
hesitantly when you do that. Like,
as well as that. As I point to the giant dragon skeleton.
oh, that. Yes, that is very, 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 very old. But I am glad you are able to find some things here to use. Your friend Overload seems to be popular in the village. I have not talked to him yet, but I heard you were all here. Is his...
Overload is doing his part, and he's assisting people in your village.
Yes, I have heard his training went very well, and that he is, and I am glad for this, he has taught our people new techniques, not just to fight, but to, and he puts his paw up in the air, heal.
Well, Overlord has a very long past to learn from, so makes sense he wants to pass those lessons along.
Yes, it is nice of that you have done all this stuff for our people here. What are they barking at? Sorry, I don't know what they're barking at still.
It's okay.
I don't like what I don't.
Squirrel.
Yeah, it's dark out, and I'm like, what do you see? A bat.
Yeah.
It's too cold. But no. Star's kind of looking around, and he sees what you guys are doing. This is, and he kind of taps some of the stuff with his one paw. Technology I have not seen for a long, long time. If you are able to do something with it, we need to keep it somewhere where the scent will not be picked up easily. But Arya has kind of informed me of these things and a few other things that are of interest. Our council will meet soon to discuss them, but things look, how do you say, positive?
Well, if you want my
So-
advice, you would put this device in the most fortified location in this side of the cave. One that
Fortified location will not matter. I'm going to put a little gimmick into this generator that ensures only your people can use it.
That would be good. Question. Can we trade with this Energon?
You can either keep it for medical reasons or have the cube split it down into strips and trade the strips.
Maybe it would not be wise to trade, though, right now. If they figure out we have ways to make this stuff, they may fight, hurt, kill for this.
That's why I'm going to ensure that only your people can use it.
Acceptable, but still risky. Also, Arya informed us there has been movement nearby of larger predators. If you are to venture outside, be warned, please do not bring them back here.
Are you needing help in dispatching these predators?
So far, no. They have kept away so far. Arya and her scouts have made them, how do you put it, wrong direction? Bait. That is what they were, bait to take them wrong direction.
Misdirection can only work for so long. You need to have a better option.
We have been working on it. We have had to move villages twice before. This one is the longest we've kept hidden. One, we had to leave not because of predator, but ghosts.
Gilgamesh tilts his head at that. Ghosts.
Things you cannot see, but hear.
He just shakes his head, just confused. So
Do not know how to explain, but most.
it looks to Void Striker. You heard of a ghost before?
Depends on the context. From here, it could be remnant technology, but if we're talking about ghost-like entities, the only thing I'm aware of is the potential of a Cybertronian with a mutated spark.
Mutant bark. What is unusual?
It allows one to live on without a body.
That is not possible.
Possible. Maybe not so much, but improbable. You might think so. But I have heard at least stories of sparks that refuse to die even though their body is completely broken. But I've never heard of them referred to as ghosts. That's
is weird, as you would say. I've never seen a spark without body. I've seen many things in my time, but not a spark without body. Interesting things.
There are many things out there amongst the stars. What you would deem impossible, improbable, may be common sense somewhere else out there.
I am beast. I only survive. Live when I can, survive all time. But Pack is strong. We survive. We occasionally get new ones who wander in, who are new, need to learn. We teach. Some wander to others and become worse. Not good ones. Maybe their sparks were without body and they found one. But time will tell. I do not think of those things too much. If I can, well, not
We
to.
can look into this ghost situation for you when we are sent to this area with the forbidden technology, or what Aria said.
The forbidden technology, is where ghosts are. Weird things. But I will go see rest of village now. If you still need anything, please, we will
We'll
help.
just need help carrying these parts to the village.
I will get one of our movers to come. He will help. I will be back.
I've also disabled the ancient tank for you.
He stops in his path. You may not work?
It should never work again.
You don't have to worry about any random power-ups on this thing.
You see him sit down and his head just drops. And you see some tears running off of his optics, his eyes. No.
Have we
more.
offended you?
No. Relieved me of pain, of worry. If that thing would come back. I hated it.
If you find another one, I can give you a device that will permanently disable that as well, if that will make you feel safer.
This is the only one that I know of that was, you said, active. I do not know of the others, but I made sure the rest of the village stayed away from them. But I am grateful that you have deactivated it. I was barking at something again. I will go get the mover. He will help you. I need to check rest of village now. Again, I give you thanks. I go now. And he turns, gets up, and just kind of walks away.
Gilgamesh is gonna finish bagging up all the parts that he's gathered and just kind of get them prepped and ready to go.
We're just gonna look at Gilgamesh and go, and that's another one that has the burden of leadership.
So as Carbine's kind of just watching as Zara walks away, not kidding about leadership. He has a lot on his mind and on his back. He's carrying a lot.
Leaders have to be the
Nice.
ones to make the hard decisions. They have to make the hard choices, and sometimes those choices lead to consequences.
Most leaders I've seen out there will also refuse to admit when they need help.
you see a big bot start to lumber in. He's in his bot form. It's one rhino looking one that you've kind of seen with the packs on him before. He comes in with these baskets that he's able to carry, and he just kind of walks up, and you know he's saying something to you, but you don't know what, and it's just this.
Just gonna point to the pile of parts.
And he looks over and he's like, and he nods, and he loads up all the pieces that you have, and he kind of like just stands there like waiting for you to say where to take them, kind of thing.
Well, we don't have a designated area to build this thing yet, so just somewhere out of the way in the village.
And you see him think for a moment. And he starts walking away. You don't know what he said, but he's just.
And there's one last thing I'm gonna grab from this thing. Gilgamesh, can you help me separate it?
Absolutely.
Gonna separate its cannon. Might be a good weapon upgrade for Phoenix.
I don't even know what to say. Text your son and tell him to come get his damn food.
Sorry. My dad bought my wife a bow. And she just got it. It's just like, trying not to laugh because it's like the look on her face. What's he trying to buy my love?
Pure and utter confusion.
Yeah, so. But.
What is this bribery I receive?
Yeah. Like, it's a nice bow, too. It's bought the
What is
arrows and
this
everything.
tomfoolery?
Yeah. So, it threw me. I was like, the look on her face. But you guys have all these parts and everything. And let me see, how long have we been going for now? Jeez. Only 3.5 hours. We're a little light.
Fair enough.
We're a little light. We need to pick this up. So you guys
Honestly, I was wondering if we're ending soon because I'm on the verge of passing out.
No, we're going to go for another 6 hours. Actually, if you guys are okay with it, could we wrap it up now?
Fine with them.
Yeah.
I more ended off on a good note.
Yeah, I wanted to at least do something. I don't have too much planned out from here right now anyway. This is kind of just you guys catching up on some stuff and doing some things here.
Well, this is basically it for this year, isn't it? For this campaign?
Unless
Because next weekend is basically the Christmas weekend for the
crap.
Transformers.
I mean, it'd be on the 22nd, so we could still do it.
Woo,
I won't be
Christmas
available.
event.
Oh, you're gonna be gone that week.
I might have something.
Yeah, I'll be
I might have
probably up with my grandmother.
That's all right. If you guys have plans, that's okay. I don't even know what I'm going to have, but we'll figure it out that weekend and see what's going on. Maybe I'll do a Transformer holiday one-shot thing.
Yeah, we
We'll
could
have
do
some
that.
fun with it.
If I can make it, I'll join.
Yeah. If not, don't worry about it. It's all right. It's all good. It's fun. Yeah. It's all good. You know what I mean? Yeah. But we'll wrap up here. It is a good spot because you guys got the parts. Somebody's training Aegis. Overload's sitting on his big dino butt doing nothing, you know.
But yeah,
at the medical hut.
I really want to upgrade our Phoenix with this siege tank cannon.
You're gonna surprise him. You're gonna make him happy.
There was something I wanted to ask, but I wasn't. But it was like not the right time.
Is it something we want to say on the stream that's going to be on there, or is it something we want to wait for afterwards?
I mean, either or.
Is it better for it to play out in scene or?
Okay, we're gonna let it play out in scene. We'll just discuss it after this. And okay, so with all this going on, do you guys want to say anything, promote anything yourselves? I don't care. Have fun with it. Well, I do care. Don't make it offensive. Mercer, shut up. I know you're
Murder
gonna
is
say-
fun when people don't know what's coming.
That's
Next week we'll be back with D and Destiny.
Stealth is optional.
Stealth is always optional. Because it's always stealthy if there are no witnesses left alive.
Oh my god. So for anybody who's catching these, you can catch all the past episodes on the YouTube channel that we have set up. Yes, it's under my name, but I'm probably going to try and change that to something eventually if we ever figure a group name or something. I don't know. I haven't figured that out. We'll figure it out. Don't care. Right now, we're all tired. We're all just doing. But all links are down on the Twitch channel as well as in the YouTube channel. You can find all these jokers who do stream once in a while or have something going on. You can hit their bell notifications and such. Yes, dear?
You also should vote on whether his wife should join.
No.
Chaotically,
I
and
vote
occasionally,
yes.
but not all the
Yes.
time.
Sorry, Dave. Looks like you voted.
All in favor, say
Not the
aye.
listeners, not the
Aye.
not the players.
Aye.
So
Jury,
so-
sorry.
sorry, all the players don't get a vote.
You see?
She said it, not me. Sorry, guys. You don't get to vote. You only.
I mean,
Even
Why not
though
hear
we're
boss
voting
music?
in favor for
if
it?
it's
Yeah.
if it's only the viewers that
Yeah.
can vote. Hey Trin, you want to vote?
Yeah,
not a
you're not
player
technically
yet?
a player yet.
You can vote on the opposite side. We can gridlock this whole thing.
But yeah, links are all in these. You can find the jokers all in here. As you see, again, you can catch it on the YouTube channel where we keep it cataloged. I do have all this backed up, so that's a lot of
Is
data.
this where if viewers have to vote, I get my entire server to vote
I
in favor?
vote stalemate.
Yes, stalemate. Yes.
Okay. You guys want to say bye?
You are a traitor, Trin.
Who wants to go first? I say Void Striker goes first on saying bye.
Peace, bitches.
See, there you go. Dave?
We'll see you next week. Get some sleep.
And may the calming cold guide your heart.
And the most important person here, me. Supreme
You're not that
Commander-
important.
Void Striker suddenly dies. We don't know what happened. That boulder rolled down and crushed him. He was just so weak.
Oh, what a shame. I guess
Someone's
it's time to bring
arms are just
soundtrack
too
in.
short to box with God.
But here's the thing. I don't fear God, I'm Australian.
Oh, God. All right. So, for mine, as always, wherever you're at in the world, have a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and be safe out there, especially during this. If you're living in Australia, don't worry about it. You're hot. Don't worry.
It's your
If you-
summertime. Fuck off.
Yeah. If it's here where we're
You
all
wanna know
at,
something
except
that's
for
great?
Mercer.
I'm currently in the middle of a storm. It's nice and cold.
And unless
Yeah,
you're
so am I.
Mercer-
I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure it's quite the opposite.
Yeah. Stay warm, stay cold. There you go. Take your pick of what environment you're in.
I'm also in
Stay
a bit of a
lukewarm.
Oh, God. All right.
Of course you're in a bit of a storm, Trin. We're neighbors.
true. Still,
Yes, the
bit
other
of a
person.
storm front here too.
Yes, the other person you're hearing, fourth player. Bye.